Julia, hang on. Yes, I think we are live. Give me a hello if you are there. Christy, I see you. I'm just going to figure out how to get a few things sorted, so I hope you guys can bear with me. I believe that I am muted there, so that's good news. All right, guys, as you come on, hello, hello, and welcome. Welcome to our webinar, online version of Mindset Mastery Masterclass. I can see Christy is with us. If anyone else is jumping on now, please give me a hello. Let me know where you're from. Let me know. We are going to get started in a second, but I might just give a minute or two for people to join us. Let's see. I hope that you, Tuesday night, 6:30, well, in Australia anyway. I know the thing about this webinar is I had a lot of people after I normally run these events live face-to-face, which is my favorite preferred method of connection and communication. But I had so many people this particular time being like, Marina, you always run these. When are you going to, run it online? Because I live in Sydney, or I live in Melbourne, or I live in, the UK, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, you know what? That's really true. Why am I not going with the times and doing it online? Mike is here. Oh no, it's and Angela. I see you. Hello. I'm so excited that you guys are on, and I know that we've got more joining us. So as you come on, let me know. We've got 5 people watching. Some of you are a little bit shy, so if you're not wanting, we've got a few more joining. If you're not wanting to say hey, that's fine. But as someone who coaches people, I'm going to just point this out from the get-go. How we do the small things is how we do all of the things. So the way we are in small ways is the way we are in all ways. So where else do you watch from the sidelines? Just something to think about. And maybe in this really abstract online environment where really no one knows you and I already love you, you could actually just drop a hi or a smiley face and just step a little forward. And that could be your edging experience, or what I like to call edging experiences for the night. But we'll get into that more and more. Because the scary thing is, guys, that we actually do what we did yesterday, the way we think, the things we say, the thoughts we have running through our brain, almost 97% is a duplicate, which is why so often we just recreate what we call cycles of similarity. So to create change, we need to create change. So if you're jumping on now, what I'm really asking you to do is to say good day and let me know that you're here. Otherwise, I am not going to wait too much longer, and I'm going to dive straight in. Today, I'm going to be using a presentation, a PowerPoint presentation. It's a little daggy and old, but the content is exactly the same as what I do in my live presentations. I just noticed we had a little bit of a lag. Hi, Jean, I see you. Welcome. All right, we've got a lot more on than just saying hello. That is okay. I see you, I love you, and welcome. We are talking tonight about mindset mastery. So what does that mean? Let's get into it. I just need to, I'm like kind of proud of myself, just gonna own it because I'm new to the tech stuff and certainly new to the YouTube live. So I'm hoping that you can see my screen. I'm just going to check before I have my training wheels, Julia, leave. Julia, if that comes up all right, can you let me know? And if it's all good, then we are good. Okay, so it looks all right for you guys. Can you guys all see a screen that says Mindset Mastery? If you can, say yes in the box, just so I know I can proceed. I feel like we are good to go. Okay, so looks good. Thanks, Julia. All right. So, guys, may I make a request? And this is a genuine request. I would really, really love it. I'm going to, I'm going to lovingly request, actually, I'm just going to go back to seeing you, that you interact with me on this online. This is why I love face-to-face, because you can't ignore me. I can get up in your grill and I can kind of extract energy from you face-to-face. So in this online experience, the way that I can get feedback from you and know that I'm not just talking to a screen is by you commenting and you engaging. And truthfully, the way that you'll get the greatest results from your time with me tonight is to actually allow this information and these insights to sink in, to kind of roll them around and marinate in your brain, and then give an answer. when I ask. I mean, a lot of the times it is just information coming, and then sometimes it's like, okay, how and where does this apply to me? And so when I'm asking for that, I would love you to interact because, well, it's a lot more fun, but more importantly, it's a lot more beneficial for you. Okay. All right. Christy says she can see it. I'm going to go back to it. We are going to rock and roll. We are going for it. Okay. So the first question I have for you is, do you want something that you don't yet have? So what I'm asking here is, whatever it might be that you want a new car. Okay. It could be that you want better sex. It could be that you want to have a child. It could be that you want to change your career. It could be that you'd like to get sleep at night because you're suffering with insomnia. Guys, it could be anything. But what I'm asking is, there's something that you desire to have in your life that's not currently present. And if that is true for you right now in your life, can you just write yes in the comment box? Because what we're going to talk about tonight is precisely this. And if there is nothing that you can think of that you would like to add to your life in any way, shape, or form, whether it's in physical form or whether it's an emotional embodiment, then truthfully, there may not be a lot you can get from this session tonight, because what we are going to be talking about, in a nutshell, where is my slide, is change. So this entire presentation is about helping you step into change. So before we get started, for those of you who don't know me very well, my name is Marina. Just like where the boats go, it's spelt and pronounced exactly the same. So truthfully, I am not sure why people don't know how to pronounce or enunciate my name. I always say that if your name was House, you wouldn't say Housey. You'd just get it right? So that's how it's spelled, Marina, Marina. And if we're not already friends on Instagram or Facebook, find me and let's do that. Now, for those of you who don't know me or haven't seen me present, I often say that it's when someone asks me, what do I do, which is actually one of my least favorite subjects. I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but for me personally, I'm much more interested in what lights someone up, or, what is it you do for joy, or what blisses you out, rather than what do you do. And yet recently, well, probably a couple of years ago, actually, I was in Fiji on a very expensive island near a world famous break. And on this island, it was kind of a communal eating situation. And a lady came up to me and we were sitting down at the table and she said, what is it that you do? And when I'm on holidays and I'm just zoning out, it's a lot to tell someone, well, I have, health clubs and I, business coach people, to launch their brands or to expand their impact. And I do a lot of life coaching and help people really shed, trauma and ascend their wounds, but also figure out who they want to be in the world, them, not society, and help them step into it. Oh, and I also do nutrition coaching and I help people, basically step into, the expansion of their wholeness, whether that's through womanhood or just simply sovereignty, blah, blah, blah. So you can understand why it gets a bit exhausting. And so when this woman asked, I didn't want to go into all of that. And in the end, what I ended up saying, and it's funny how when necessity, they say, that in those moments, it's like things just come to you. And certainly for me, that occurred. And I just said to her, you know what I do? I just help people facilitate positive change. And it just landed like a beautiful, all-encompassing statement that really does sum up what it is I do. Whether it's stepping into a new career, whether it's stepping into a new relationship, whether it's losing weight, gaining strength, improving fitness, enhancing your gut biome. Honestly, whatever it is, it's just positive change. It is the elevation of someone towards their higher self, as I like to call it. And that's a continual journey, as we'll share tonight. But change is what I'm fascinated with. Facilitating and helping people to achieve positive change is especially what I like to do. So I like people to lose their limits, because we all have them, as we'll outline tonight. I love them to love their life and to live their dreams. And I want to thank you guys, because I do understand that your time is precious. In fact, it is the most precious thing that you have. It is completely non-renewable. And please do not assume for 2 seconds that I take that for granted tonight. I know that you being here is an exchange. And so, sorry, 1 second. I'm going to try and come back just so I can see you. I know it's an exchange. And so if you've, managed to set aside time to join me live and look at a computer screen, I really genuinely, I'm just so deeply honored, and I consider that a privilege. And I promise you that my commitment to you is to deliver you with insights and ideas and information that, if you take it on board, will absolutely change how you look at life and how you come at life, and essentially will change the results you get in life. That is my heartfelt promise to you, because this information certainly changed my life, and it has changed hundreds and hundreds of lives through my clients. So the other thing I want to point out when I mention this is that you could be doing anything right now with your time, and yet you're here, which speaks volumes actually for where you're at in life and what you're seeking in life. But it's a great reminder too, because something I like to remind myself of and my clients of is that where we give our time, we are essentially trading our life for that experience. And so I have this, and I say this a lot, because think about where you give your time that you'd rather not. The people that you're kind of like, oh, I really don't enjoy those conversations. Oh, they're draining me, or I feel obliged to do this. Know that in those moments and in those times, you are literally trading your life for that experience. And so look back at the last day and look back at the day before this and just kind of go, okay, what did I trade the gift of my life for? Because the thing is, we don't know how long we've got, and yet what are we trading this most valuable, most precious resource for? Because we do get to choose that. We get to choose what we trade it for. We get to choose if we trade it for jobs we hate or jobs we love. We get to choose if we trade it for relationships that light us up or relationships that just feel hollow. We get to choose. This is, in fact, the superpower that we have. So I want you to know something about yourself that you may not yet know. And if you don't, I want you to know it now. And it's really this. It's that you are an action taker. And you might think that you're a procrastinator. You might think that you suck in lots of domains in life. So often we are our harshest critics and think that. But if you know you're an action taker, go, yeah, I already know that. But if you don't know it, then I want you to realize that you are, because even to attend this webinar, like in person, yes, I know it took someone, parking a car, first of all, driving to a venue, parking a car, walking up the stairs, coming in, that takes action. But even getting online tonight, you had to, log in, register, get the link, click on it. Like, I know that took work. And again, I applaud you for putting some time into you, because this is not about me, guys. I have no delusions of grandeur that this has got anything to do with me. I'm simply a vessel to teach the stuff and to share the stuff that I know works. This is about you taking back your life. It's about you claiming your sovereignty. And it's about you choosing and owning your choices. Because if you agree with the statement, I want you to type agree. Do you agree, yes or no, that your life right now, the amount of money you got in the bank account, how much sex you have, your weight, your energy levels, your health, your career, the number of holidays you get to take, the relationships you have with your family, your friends, all of that, the picture of your life right now, do you agree or not agree? This is what you're going to type in the box. Do you agree or not agree that it is directly proportional and a direct result of the choices that you've made up until now? If you agree, type agree. If you do not agree, then I want you simply to put don't agree. Let's see where we're at. Agree or not agree? Type it in for me. Now, I know there's a little bit of a lag, so I'm going to keep moving, but I'm hoping that you guys can hear me. Can you still hear me? If you can still hear me, let me know, and we're going to keep moving. So if it's an agree, thank you guys, yes. Because the truth is that it is. We don't always get to choose what happens to us. I understand that other people are factoring into our lives. I understand that sometimes Mother Nature will just throw us a hand. But what we do get to do is choose how we respond to that. All right. So what we're going to do is take a little exercise now, because I want to talk about the idea of empowered choices. Because if the superpower that we have is choice, then all we need to do to have a more amazing life is make more empowered choices. But let's describe and discuss what empowered choices are. So I would normally ask the room to put your hands up, but if you're like a thumbs up, whatever works for you, a yes. Can you recall a moment in time when you knew at a time that you made a decision that was not in your best interest? truly was not in your best interest. You might have made it out of obligation, you might have made it out of guilt, out of shame, but it was not what you wanted. And as a result, or even it was not even what you thought was the best decision. And as a result, it cost you. It might have cost you in joy, it might have cost you in time, or it might have cost you in money. Okay, so I want you to feel like, yep, I know that experience, just hands up. Just kind of like thumbs up, or yep, got it, got it, got it. Just give me some feedback, guys. And then on the flip side of that, I want you to think of a time when you made a decision that maybe was hard to make, or maybe it was super easy. It was like a solid yes, and you knew that it was the right thing. You knew it was in your best interest. You knew it was a stand for your sovereignty and a stand for all of the things that light you up. Think about those decisions. And can you feel and contrast the difference and the distinction? Yes, getting lots of thumbs up. Love it. Okay, so I want you to imagine for a second, imagine your life if all you did was make empowered choice after empowered choice after empowered choice, and we let go of all the other choices. I mean, just really feel into what would be the difference in the results. It would be massive, right? Massive. I promise you it'd be massive. And so one of the things that I really help people do, particularly in my Dreambuilder program, which is kind of like my signature growth course, is this. I help them, first of all, get clear on where they want to go and make sure it's aligned with their truth, not society's, not the family expectations, not even their expectations of what they think life should look like, but literally their soul's calling. And then what we get clear on is how they learn how to make choices that are aligned with their higher self. They learn how to make choices that are aligned with the compass of their soul and nothing else. This is what sovereignty is. This is the phrase I use a lot. Self-sovereignty is saying the absolute right and power to make choices that are in your best interest. And this isn't selfishness, because think for 1 second, if every single soul on the planet owned their sovereignty, claimed it, and filled themselves up from the inside, and didn't look to someone else to fill them up, and didn't look to someone else, to complete them, and didn't look to someone else to make them happy, if they accessed, which we all have, the well deep inside of us, and they ignited it themselves, and they knew how to control the flow of it, and they knew how to listen to it, and they knew, each sovereign soul, how to follow the path that is their destiny, not someone else's, the world will take care of itself, guys. We wouldn't have war. We wouldn't have, hurting people anymore. And so this is one of the things that I'm most passionate about teaching people, because I tell you something, I had to learn this. I was someone who was so high, and we'll talk about the stages of stuck in a second, and you'll get to see where you were. And trust me, I've been in all the stages. I absolutely do not come to you tonight as someone who's like, oh, I was born perfect. I got this stuff sorted. Let me teach you all the things that I innately know. No, this was, I did all the wrong ways. And then I had to find this, and I had some brilliant, blindingly grace-filled moments that brought me back into alignment. And through really tough journeying, I've learned a few things, and this is the place from which I share it. So we're going to do an exercise right now, and I really want you to do this. I don't want you to get distracted. In fact, if you can kind of close doors, switch off your phones, those kind of things, then do it. Because this next exercise that I'm going to step you through is a visualization. And it's actually, even if you did nothing else out of this masterclass, and in fact, one thing I will say is please stay to the end, because I have an amazing gift for you, an invaluable gift for you. So if you can stick around to the end, do it. But this next exercise, also incredibly invaluable, as well as all the stuff we'll share on the way. So what I want you to do is to just close your eyes down and settle into your body and take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, really present yourself in your body. Close your eyes. Don't look at the screen. Nothing I'm doing is that exciting right now. And I want you just to feel your body where it is. I want you to feel your shoulders. I want you to feel your spine and the weight of your body with gravity right here in this moment in time, on this day of this year. And what we're going to do is we're going to take a journey in a minute. And when we do, this journey is going to have us move through time and space along a pathway that the only choices we can make are empowered ones. That's the only rule of this game. So now what I want you to do is take another deep breath in. And as you exhale, allow your body and your mind and the parts of you that are physical form to stay where they are, and the parts of you that are not, your spirit, your soul, whatever you want to call it, I want that to come up and out of your body. And I want it to go above your house or above your home or wherever you're watching this, and just hover above where you are. And then as the world continues to rotate on its axis, I want that part of you to move forward through time and space, a week, many weeks, a month, multiple months. And as the world keeps spinning underneath you, I want you to keep moving forward through time and space, remembering that as time unfolds on this journey, you're going to get incredibly good at making empowered choice after empowered choice after empowered choice. So these will be choices that will support your health, support your wealth, support you speaking your truth, support you claiming what's rightfully yours, understanding your worth, and really nourishing your needs. So I want you to keep seeing months and months and months unfold until we are 1 year into the future. Now, this empowered you that's made a year's worth of empowered choices is about to land back down on earth, and you can land wherever you want. So keep your eyes closed and allow your feet just to touch down on the ground wherever you are. I want you to start to take a look around. Where are you? Breathe in this experience 1 year to the day. And now start to notice your physical being. You're in your body. So notice how it feels. Does it feel different? Notice the energy of this physical being, this skin suit that you're in, this version of you 1 year to the day after a year of empowered choices. And I also want you to notice in this future reality, keep your eyes closed, that as you move forward, suddenly there's a mirror in front of you and you can actually see your physical reality. Suddenly it's just there. And I want you to drink in your appearance. I want you to notice the way you hold yourself. Notice your attire. Notice if your body has changed or your appearance has shifted. Maybe your skin tone, maybe your eyes. Just notice the differences. And then move past that mirror and kind of start to feel your way into what are you doing in this reality? This 1 year from today. This reality where your higher self, after a year of empowered choices, may have created a whole new way of being. Notice how you interact with people. Notice who's present in your life in this reality. Notice who's maybe missing. Notice also what you choose to do for work. What daily habits are present in this reality. Just notice, drink it all in. Deep breaths. Really, every time you take a deep breath in, absorb more of this reality, like you're taking a screenshot and a fingerprint of this moment in time, where if you made a year's worth of empowered choices, this would be the reality you would experience. And most importantly, I want you to kind of take a Polaroid snapshot of this moment in time. Notice what's different, and then write a word on it, and a word that will sum up the energy of this moment in time. What is more present here than perhaps ever before? What would be the word that would sum up the bubble of this moment in time? Write it on that Polaroid photo. And then stash that Polaroid photo inside your soul. Not inside anything on the body, but inside your soul. Take one more look around, really drink in, wow, this reality that I created through my standing for myself and my highest being, through empowered choice after empowered choice. Take one more breath, and then on your exhale, start to lift your soul and spirit up out of that skin suit, out of that moment in time. Leave it there, safe and sound, to be embodied later. And then move back through time and space. And as you move back through time and space, maybe you'll look down and you'll start to see the forks in the road that led there, the changes, the things you had to let go of, the things you had to step into, the ledges that perhaps you had to jump off. Metaphorically, or maybe literally. And then moving back through time, through months and weeks, until you're back above the building that you're in right now tonight. And you slide back down into your body. Back down, and you breathe with your lungs here today, and your heart beats again with your heart from today. And we're all back and present here. So in this experience, what I'd like you to do when you land back in the present moment, I want you to write down the word in the chat box of the energy or the thing that there was more of in that future reality. Can you please write that there for me? And once you've written that down, we're going to go back to our presentation. So stay with me, guys. As we move forward from here on, for the rest of the presentation, I'm going to move quite fast. If you have any questions, let me know. But when I do ask for your feedback, please join me. We're in this together. Okay. So writing into the chat box what it is that you experience more of, don't be shy. Confidence. Thank you. Thank you, Jean. What else was there more of, guys? Let me know. Usually it's things like ease, energy, happiness, freedom. I love it, Kylie. Freedom is like one of my things. I love freedom. High value for me. Yes, Christy said peace. Yes, peace and ease, confidence, flow. Sometimes it's space. Such juicy things, though. So just imagine if you have this choice filter, which you do have, and that you are living your life in accordance with empowered choices. Imagine the changes that you could create. Now, of course, we so often don't, and what we're going to explore tonight is why we don't. Oh my goodness, we're going to dive deep, and we're going to talk about why we all don't very often do it. Okay, happier. I love it. We've done the imagine exercise. So here's what I want you to write. And look, I know some of you are still kind of observing and not joining in the chat room, and I really appreciate those who are, and I still love and appreciate those who aren't. But here's my question. Why so many unrealized dreams? When you think about that future reality, and then you think, oh, I wish I could have it, but what is the thing that comes up for you that is like the block? Why don't we have this dream for you? Really drive deep into yourself. So when you're like, oh yes, I really want that career and that relationship, or I really want that experience of my body and my health and my fitness, but, and then what is the quote unquote reason or excuse that often comes up for you? If you're happy to share it, share it. But either way, I want you to look it straight in the eye. What is the reason that you don't have yet that which you say you want? What's the story you're telling yourself? If you're happy to share it in the box. I know there's a little bit of a lag, so bear with me, guys. Okay. Anybody brave enough to share what they say to themselves as to why they get stuck? So often, guys, it'll be, I don't have time, I don't have money, I'm not sure what to do. And what I'm going to talk about right now is I'm going to talk about the 5 stages of stuckness. And basically what we're going to assess is your current relationship to your dream life or your dream. And as I go through these, and I'm going to move through them real fast, what I want you to do is I want you to, thank you, Carly, for sharing. Lack of time, I appreciate that. What I want you to do is I want you to listen to the description and then decide which of these 5 stages of stuck you are currently you are currently stuck in. I just have to laugh because Christy's just said, I'll do it next week. So procrastination, I can already tell you which stage of stuck you're in. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Thank you for your honesty. Because guys, the truth is that is actually one of the ways that we limit ourselves. We are not honest with ourselves as to why and how we get stuck. And Gina's sharing, motivation and just feeling generally not optimistic. So glass half empty kind of approach. It's too hard. It's not meant for me. Yes. And we're going to talk about where you get that stuff from. So let's dive deep. 5 stages of stuck. Let's do this. Okay, the first stage of stuckness is distracted. Now, distracted people are essentially too busy being busy. They are caught on the rat wheel of life. And when you ask them, what is it that you really want in your life, which is kind of the most basic fundamental aspect of coaching, what is it that you want? The answer to them would be, pardon, what? They don't even really have an answer for that because they haven't given it 2 seconds thought. What I mean by that is, they're so in the caught in the kind of the current of what they think should be happening that they've given 0 thought to what they could consciously create. They're what we call kind of stuck in the forest, and they can't see the wood for the trees, and they don't even really have an answer. It almost like would stump them if you said, what is it that you want to be like? I don't know. What do you mean by that question? And the people who are in the distracted stage are very much caught in an obligation field. It's like, well, I have to do it. I don't have a choice. They literally don't think they have a choice. They're busy being busy. They don't have time. Don't ask them right now. It's not important. What needs to be done is what's right in front of them, and it's what's always been there and what they've always been heading towards. So they're very distracted. The second stage of stuckness is what we call disorientated. So when you are disorientated is a different experience. It's the experience of feeling confused. And as if you looked into the future and someone said, what is it that you really want? You'd kind of squint and you'd say, I don't know. I can't quite see it, but I know this isn't it. So the thing about being disorientated is actually one of the most uncomfortable, or one of the first stages of feeling uncomfortable, because let's be honest, the distracted stage, the first stage, kind of quite ignorance is blissy. It's like you're happy because you don't know yet that there are other things out there. Whereas when we get to disorientated, it's like, I know that I don't want this, but I don't know what I want. And to be honest, guys, confusion is the number one way that we keep ourselves stuck. Now, the pattern that shows up here, or the experience, is that we end up treading water. Because, again, it makes sense, doesn't it? Why would you start swimming for shore if you, A, can't see the shoreline or don't know which land to swim towards? So you just hold position, treading water, treading water, treading water. If you've ever had this experience, you will know that it is super frustrating. I have definitely been here in my life, and I coach a lot of people through this stage, because I tell you something, we are never confused. We're just telling ourselves that because we don't think it's safe to have what we think we want. So we don't allow ourselves to see clearly. Now, the third stage is the doubters. Now, the doubters are interesting, and they're a little bit progressed, but equally as uncomfortable, I would say, as the disorientators, because the doubters do know what they want. Like if you say to them, what is it you want? They'll go, that. I want that over there. But the block for them now is that they believe they can't get there. Either they don't know how, it's like, oh, confusion as to the process, or it's, well, it's possible for everyone, but it's not possible for me. Something about me makes this goal or this dream impossible. Sometimes it's even they say they want something, but they don't actually want it. And that's why they're not moving. Sometimes it's they don't know how to get there. And sometimes it's that they believe they can't get there. And the experience for them is actually this: chasing your tail. Because what you do is it's like you do kind of false attempts. It's like you try to, go for the job, but you don't really put all the effort in. You don't do everything that could possibly be done because you actually want to have the experience of being right, that you weren't good enough or valued enough to get the position. Or you'll choose a faulty pattern to kind of keep you safe from achieving it, even though you say you want it. So it's an experience of chasing your tail, because you're like, well, I'm almost there, but I can't quite get there. I can't quite get there. And you'll find ways to propagate that experience. And we'll explain why soon in this presentation. So chasing your tail. And what you do need is a nice, clean plan. You need a big dose of self-belief, and you need to gain some momentum. All right. Stuck stage number 4 is disillusioned. Now, a lot of you are actually stuck in the disillusioned stage. And disillusioned is actually an interesting one because it's kind of where the high achievers hang out. And I work with a lot of high achievers, high achieving, overgiving, overthinking kind of individuals. And another word for this disillusion phase is that you're essentially complacent because you look like you're crushing it at life. Like, honestly, from the outside looking in, it's like you are winning. You've got the career, you've got the relationship, you're making the money, you're achieving success in certain areas of life. But the distinction for the disillusioned is that, the imagery, if you will, is like you're so good at scaling this ladder, but the ladder's on the wrong building. It is not aligned with you. It doesn't feed your soul. You're kind of being the doctor or the lawyer because your dad was a doctor or lawyer, and that's what you believe you're supposed to be. And the disillusioned have an interesting relationship to time. It's like they sometimes even know that they want something else, but they run the belief that, well, I'll get to that later. After I'm finished this job or this career, I'll get to that. But at the same time, of course, we fill up our life with all of the things that don't fill us up, and then we end up drowning essentially in an unfulfilled life. Whew. Sounds pretty heavy, I know, but hang in there because there is a 5th stage. And the 5th stage is the person living the dream. Now, guys, I want to be really clear from the get-go. I don't want any, over-the-top statements here. Being someone who lives the dream does not mean life is perfect. But it does mean that the way that you approach life is from a more empowered place. It means that your circumstance does not dictate your joy. It means that you definitely stand in your sovereignty, and that you experience joy every day because you have consciously co-created your reality. It means you do things for work that light you up, whether that's in an actual job or a career or just in a not-for-profit, but you love what you get to spend your days doing. Even if that's being a mum at home, it's because you choose it, not out of obligation. It's because that is what you want to do, and it lights your soul on fire. You have a healthy relationship to wealth. You can receive it. You can experience abundance, and abundance is different for everyone. This doesn't mean everybody needs to have $10 billion in the bank. No, it means you have all your needs met. You're not stressed about it. It doesn't factor in as an issue. You have a good work-life balance. You know how to switch on and switch off. You know that, you're not one thing all of the time, and that we need to slide between all parts of us. You definitely, when you're in the embodiment of someone who lives a dream life, to nurture your vessel. You understand that your body is the home in which you get to live your life, so you have a healthy respect for it. That looks different for everyone, but it does mean you nourish it with good food, you give it good thoughts, and you move it to maintain it so that you can have a beautiful, long, healthy life inside of it. And ironically, of course, when we're living the dream, the rest of the world thinks we were just born lucky. I mean, let's be honest, who's ever done that? Seen someone driving a super flash car that you might like, or doing really well in an area that you'd like to be, and you kind of go, oh, well, it's easy for them. They were just born like that, or it's their genetics, or their family's wealthy. You kind of make a reason or an excuse that they hit those heights. And I don't know if you've ever had this experience, but I certainly have, where I've met people and you get to know them, and then they share with you that actually, even though they look the picture of health now, they lost, 50 kilos. And you're like, wow, I would never have guessed that looking at you today. Or vice versa with their relationship with money. Maybe they've got a great relationship with money now, but then they share with you that they came from poverty, or they went through massive financial loss. Again, we can't judge a book by its cover, but we so often do. We're all guilty of this at some point. Yeah, yes, Kim. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, we do it. We say, oh, you're so lucky, but it's got nothing to do with luck. People who consciously co-create, they have done the work to release the limits, and they are in the practice of strengthening the muscle of their sovereignty. So let's talk about where you're currently experiencing stuckness. So I want you to have a look at this list. Remember that distracted is you're too busy being busy. You haven't given it 2 seconds thought as to what you really want, but you are a bit frustrated, a little bit of a martyr or victim energy of like, why do I have to do this? But I don't really have a choice because I got to do it. Disorientated is that confused stage. I don't know what I want, but I know it's not this. I feel this building lack of satisfaction, but I don't know which direction to head in. I'm confused. Number 3 is the doubter. It's, I really want that, but I've got this, and I don't know how to bridge that gap. Number 4 is, I know that I'll get to the stuff I really want to do later, but right now I've got to fulfill this obligation of just being amazing in this space, crushing it here. It doesn't really make me happy, but I do get a degree of satisfaction from this attainment or achievement. But really deep below it, I'm kind of a bit hollow because I'm, not in alignment would be a great word for number 4. And then number 5, of course, is I still have my stuff. It's not all unicorns and rainbows, but I love what I do. I like who I am. I speak my truth. I'm on the right path. I know that for sure, and I'm unfolding. So I want you to write in the comments, guys, please be brave. Share with where you're at right now. And remember that we do cycle through these. We can definitely drop from one into the other, and you'll move through them throughout your life. You're certainly not actually stuck in them, but you might be stuck in one right now. My job tonight is to help you get clear on that so that we can shift you forward, help you gain momentum. So putting in the chat box, which of these 4 that you feel you're stuck in, you can just got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And let us know. Please share. I would love to see and hear. If we were in a live environment, I would have you share this with the people next to you, which is really good to do. So get clear on what's missing for you. 1.5, is that what Christy said? Or are you like halfway? Or is that 1 and 5, Christy? I'm not sure. That's just adorable. Okay, I'm going to go back if I can onto that screen. So I'm going to leave it up there. So make sure that you write it into the chat box, guys. Are we on 1? Are we 2? Are we 3? Are we 4? Or are we 5? Kylie is distracted. Thank you so much for sharing. Okay, keep them coming. I really appreciate that. We're going to keep moving because what we're going to do is talk about how we move out of these stages of stuck. There are 4 key ingredients that we need to create what it is that we want in life. Both 3 and 4. Thank you, Jean. So we're a little bit halfway between 1 and 2. Okay, got it. That's cute. I've never had anyone say that before. Okay, so 4 ingredients, and we're going to cover the first 3 really fast. And then we're going to go into the 4th one in more detail tonight, because the truth is it's the 4th one. Yes, okay, I got it. Yeah, and you can kind of go from, so actually Christy's made a good point. She's like, I'm distracted, but I also don't know where I'm going. Thank you for that. I just want to say something on this point, because the thing is that when we don't know where to go or we don't know what we want, we're going to stay distracted, or we'll drop back in distraction because we're uncomfortable with that awareness. So we fill up our life just being busy, which is why everybody's so busy. So distracted is one that we can drop into when we actually want to inhibit ourselves from stretching into that next, or ascending into that next level, and up leveling essentially into more of that which we're meant to be and expand ourselves. We will all quite often drop into distracted, kind of doing the urgent things, but not the important things, if you know what I'm saying. Okay, so there are 4 key ingredients. As I said, we're going to whiz through the first 3 really fast. The first thing that you definitely need is a vision. We did a vision exercise at the beginning of this masterclass. So where are you going? Guys, if you don't have a GPS coordinate plugged into your car when you're leaving a destination, you're not going to go anywhere. And if you sit in that car and literally repeatedly say, I don't want to go to, and then say a name of an address, where do you think Siri or your GPS, what is it going to pick up? If I'm sitting in the car saying, Siri, do not take me to 30 Smith Street, all Siri's going to hear is 30 Smith Street. So sometimes because we don't have a destination and all we're clear on is what we don't want, we just get more of what we don't want. So we definitely need a vision, and I'll explain why in a second. We definitely do need a plan, but not in the way you think. Often we get hung up on these plans, and we get hung up on, how do I do it? How do I do it? You don't need that. You actually just need stepping stones to transition you. We'll talk about the distinction in a moment. You do need to be in action, and you do need accountability. That's the only reason. Your plan is essentially just something you're actioning that will move the needle. That's all you need. The most important thing, and this is what I really want to have land through our conversation tonight, is number 4, which nobody does, guys. Everybody out there who's a coach who's telling you, oh, what you need to do. Did I say Siri wrong? Anyway, someone's making a comment. What you need to do is you need to get a plan, and you need to action it, and you need to, all of these things. Yes, and the truth is that you can have a vision, you can have a plan, and you can be in action, but if you do not release the limits, and I'm talking the family systems limits, the limiting beliefs about yourself, the hyper-stabilized beliefs, all the stories you're running, all the patterns that are keeping you cemented right where you are, you're not going to go anywhere, guys. That's what no one's talking about, because no one wants to look under the lid. But you're on this call with me, and I am obliged, and I'm very passionate about having us all understand our wiring so that we can transcend it, because it is not hard, and we are all the same and united in this experience. So let's move forward. All right. Once we have a vision, we need to make sure that that vision is something that pulls us towards it, not pushes us away. So motivationally speaking, I'm actually just going to come out of, give me one second. Okay. So motivationally speaking, let me give you an example of this. Say, for instance, you are here and you're like, I really don't like this spare tire around my waistline, this muffin top. I'm going to Bali and I want to lose weight and I just feel really gross, right? And so it's like, I need to lose 5 kilos. Universe, everybody, mom, dad, brothers, sisters, I need to lose 5 kilos. And we claim it and we say, that's my goal. I want to lose 5 kilos. And so what happens is the universe hears us. It's got a perfect accounting system, okay, impeccable. And it goes, right, I hear you. You want to lose 5 kilos. Got it. And then it says, okay, so we'll start eating better. It doesn't say it. You in your head go, that's it. I'm going to start eating better. I'm going to start moving. And lo and behold, miracles of miracles, you start losing weight. You start losing weight. And you get to about the 5 kilo mark. And you're like, my goodness, this is amazing. Maybe even close to it. And we'll talk, that's more about sabotaging in a second. Maybe you'll get closer and you're like, wow, I feel really good. And so then what happens is, instead of moving through it, because you were never going anywhere, you were just getting away from discomfort, you're moving away from, then what happens is you go, wow, I feel great. Well, this little bit of cake won't hurt, and that little bit of cheesecake won't really factor. That's what you're saying in your head. But actually what's occurring is you're actually subconsciously sabotaging, so you can go back to where you started so that you can re-experience that which you asked for, which was to lose 5 kilos. You weren't going anywhere. You just wanted to lose 5 kilos. So you're going to get it again and again and again. I'm going to lose 5 kilos, gain it back. Lose 5 kilos, gain it back. Can we see why this away from motivation doesn't serve us? But yet many of us are doing that. We set goals and then we go back. We set goals and we go back. We save money and we spend it. We save money, we spend it. We lose weight. We go on a date. We find the same person and the cycle continues. There's a little bit more to that, but essentially for right now, that's the issue with our visions. But imagine you're here and you're like, oh, I feel really uncomfortable with this muffin top. Where do I want to go? Who do I want to be in relation to my health? I really love to be this version of me that just like finds healthy food that he or she really likes. I'd like to be the person that like gets up and just loves to move every day. Maybe not hardcore, but just really loves movement. I'd love to be the person who drinks lots of water and who thinks good thoughts and who maybe stretches even, like one of those people. I'd like to be that version of me. I'd like to be that because, and here comes the why, because then I'd be like calmer and I'd be happier. I'd be kinder to my kids. I'd also feel sexier in my body. And I know that that would have me feel more romantic and loving and sensual with my partner. Right or wrong, that's just true. And blah, blah, blah. Like, and see how this starts to like affect every area of your life. And I'd have more energy to show up at work. Maybe I'd even make more money because I'd be like more confident and I'd speak up. And this version and this vision is so intricately expansive that it just will take this person and pull them towards it. This is a vision of a higher self, and the higher self literally gives us the blueprint of what to do, how to do it, and who to be. And away from motivation is, I don't like who I am. I don't want to be here anymore. Move me away. Back I go. Move me away. Back I go. Move me away. Vision is really critical. Please let go of goals. The language is semantics. You could technically say this is your goal, sure. But I'm going to go back to this presentation slide screen. Essentially, what I want you guys to start doing is to construct realities that are so compelling and so juicy, such a strong why. I know some of you who are on tonight have been doing Unstuck, and that's getting really clear on what you want and why. This is a picture of my beautiful cousin, Anthony, who is an amazing human being. This is him after he was going through a lot of cycles of away from motivation. If you connect with him on social media, he is very open about sharing that in his youth, he went through cycles of being addicted to and then going through, rehabilitation centers, some not so healthy drugs. This is a picture right when he actually came to a point and, all of the rehabilitation attempts hadn't worked. And he then he actually started working for me inside of Pure Health Clubs. And within himself, he constructed a vision of who he wanted to be. He started to get an idea of who he could create, if he really tried new things, started training, started eating better. And he became, let's be honest, and he'll own this, at the time, rather obsessed with how do you build a healthy body as opposed to obsessed with how do you get more drugs, right? So he just changed his focus and he had a vision of himself that he stuck to and on it every day. And here's what he was able to create as a transition. The man is a genius when it comes to training and nutrition, for sure. But even more so, what I love about Anthony is he is such a great embodiment of change. Like when I think back to that woman, and I didn't even finish telling you the story, the lady in Fiji who said, what is it that you do? And I said, what I do is I help people facilitate change. Her response to me saying that was, but do you really think people can change? I don't think they can. And think about it, guys. We have so many examples in our society. A leopard never changes its spots. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. We have an underlying belief in our society that change is not possible. But I can tell you, after 20 years of being in the health and wellness space and nutrition space and almost 15 years now inside of human potential and mindset stuff, change is 1,000% possible. Every cell in my body knows it. I've seen it 1 billion times over. I have no doubt. And I'll explain why I know this to be true and how you can start to have similar knowledge and beliefs too. But Anthony's a great embodiment of that for me and a great reminder because he's now someone who meditates every day, who understands his psychology and has a company called Awaken Lifestyles and teaches others, thousands of other people to also do this. So our ability to hold a vision and tow us is so important because the future tows where the present goes. If you haven't thought of where you want to go in life, that's why you're stuck, distracted, or stuck treading water, or stuck moving and, chasing your tail. Take the time to daydream. Take the time to go, you know what? If none of my life right now had to look like this, what the hell would I pick for myself? What would I choose if I could consciously create my reality? Go there. Dream it up. And then with detail. And then really start to isolate it. We did this at the beginning of this presentation. And honestly, that exercise, elite athletes will tell you, visualizing where you want to go, winning the race, striking the tennis ball, whatever it is, science shows that this visualization, the mind just needs to see it, to conceive of it, to create it. We have what's known as a reticular activating system in our brain, our RAS. RAS, and it is what filters your reality and pulls into your awareness that which you have highlighted as being important. As an example of this, let me give you, I'm the guys, a lot of this stuff, people think it's all woo-woo, but quantum physics, I studied physics, actual physics at, university level. Still can't even believe it, honestly, it was super complex. But I'm very scientifically wired, and I can tell you for sure that all the stuff we share here, there is a lot of evidence to support this. This is not crazy woo-woo stuff. This is hard facts, measurable, quantifiable. So what we know to be true, and this is just to give you an example, with your RAS, you are bombarded with stimulus every day, and your brain has to filter for it. So if every day you're like saying, oh my gosh, the world is a mean place, people are assholes, and this is your belief structures and the thoughts that run through your mind, your brain is looking, and I'll explain why in a second, through the cycle. There's one loop that's running your entire life. It is looking for that. It is filtering for that. Now, take the reality. If anyone on the call has ever been pregnant or just fallen pregnant or wants to fall pregnant, look around and literally, do you not see more prams, pregnant women, and babies? That is not because there are more prams, pregnant women, and babies. That is because your reticular activating system is filtering for them because your mind said it was important. Likewise, when you start to look at buying a new car, guys, and you're like, oh, I don't know what I should get. Or maybe you do buy a new car. And suddenly, what is the only other car on the road when you're driving? That car. True or not true? And it's not because there's more of that car. It's because you're filtering for it. Your awareness is pulling it forward. And this is where your vision can be very powerful, because actually what you can do is train your mind to pull forward the things that are going to support you into the expansion that you're seeking, as opposed to back into the cycle that you're trying to break free of. The catch here is this, is that your vision is limited by your beliefs, your capacity to see and create. And so this is why it's important to look underneath at what your limitations are, because until you do that, your vision is limited. Which is why, even from a very basic level of having a coach from a PT perspective, right? The reason people get PTs is because the PT will hold a greater vision, a personal trainer will hold a greater vision for you and see more is possible for you than you currently see for yourself. It's a very common story to have people say, I've been training with a personal trainer and I never thought I could lift that, or I never thought I could run on a treadmill. Of course you didn't, because you'd never really had that experience either seen in your life. Your mind couldn't conceive of it. But the PT held it in trust for you. They saw it for you, which is why having a coach is so valuable. I mean, it's why I have business coaches, it's why I have life coaches, because I have people who help me untangle essentially the limits that I have so I can keep expanding my own capacity. It's also why I coach people. Now, so vision's important, but we also need a plan. But here's the reality, guys. Most people's plan looks like this: a pie in the sky. True or not true? True. Most people are like, I want to make $1 million. Yeah, there it is, $1 million. That's my goal. Or I want to lose 20 kilos. That's my goal. But it's kind of just up there, like a pie in the sky. And then in an attempt to achieve it, all we actually do is actually just chunk it down. We're like, well, to make $1 million, I just need to make 250,000, and then another 250,000, another 250,000, and another 250,000. And so all we actually do, or same with the 20 kilos, is we go, I want to lose 20 kilos. Maybe I'll lose 5, and then 10, and then 15. And all we do is we chop up the pie, but it is still a pie in the sky. And the mistake that I see people make, and I see my business coaching clients do this, and my personal coaching clients do this, is instead of stepping out tiny, tiny, tiny incremental steps and actually reverse engineering from that goal to the literal first step that needs to be taken, the tiny first step that needs to be taken, instead what they do is they concertina or separate. Let me explain. So the first major pattern that we use to take our plan and make it unworkable is we, for instance, this is how we build a wall. So business coaching clients do this first. So they say to me, Marina, I have this idea, and I love branding, I love positioning, I love launching. It's a real, I suppose, just a genius zone for me. I personally have launched so many businesses and with partners, sold out of them or launched them, with my clients, etc. I love it. I love it. So I coach a lot of people in this space, and I have a lot of people who say to me, well, Marina, I don't know what to do. I don't know. I'm gonna have to get insurance, and do I need to trademark, and I need to get my bank account set up, and what about, how am I going to process that first client, and what about if I need to fire staff? And I'm sitting there going, you don't even have staff yet. You haven't sold a single product yet. What are you doing? Why are you talking about this? Because essentially what they're doing is taking all the things all the way down into the future, and they're pulling them like a concertina, one on top of the other, on top of the other, stacking them until they have this giant wall that is insurmountable. Or what they do is this: they make the first step. So they haven't even got the brand. They haven't even got, their avatar established. They haven't got their packaging, their pricing, their essential models. They haven't got any of that. And they're sitting there going, oh my gosh, I don't know how I'm going to get this first client. Well, of course you don't know how you're going to get your first client, because you're not ready for your first client. That is not the first step. The first step might be sitting with and marinating with, what is it that this business would even do? Then looking at the name, then looking at the positioning statement, then looking at the first offer. Does that make sense? So we do this to ourselves, guys, around our health, around our relationships. We either make a wall we can't scale, or we make a void that's far too scary to leap. When what we really need to do is get a super clear, super defined plan and just action it. So this is actually Haley. She's a beautiful soul. I actually met her probably 7 or 8 years ago. And when I met her, she actually heard me talk about, it was a franchise actually that I had launched. And she was like, came up afterwards. She was so beautiful, very emotional. And she said, oh, everything you said is so aligned with me. I really want to, kind of create something similar. I want to have this space for women. It's a 10-year plan. And I said, that's awesome. I said, why is it a 10-year plan? Thinking, maybe something had to happen for. She said, well, I figure out that's how long it's going to take me to learn what I need to learn, and to get the skills, and I said, well, okay. But actually what happened is I did a coaching session with her, nothing to do with the business. It was actually around the limiting block, one that she'd had since she was a child, that she'd downloaded from her mother. And after that single session, in this video, I won't play it tonight actually, just for time, but in this video she talks about how literally that one block just shifted everything. And what's really cool about Haley, and I'm just going to flick to the next screen, is that this 10-year plan that she had, she actioned inside of 6 months. So she actually has an amazing business. She's down at Springwood here in Brisbane. She helps women step into empowered living. She runs retreats. She has a fitness center. She's doing everything that she wanted to do, and she got it all up and running inside of 6 months. Because the truth is, guys, is that the stories we tell ourselves about why we can't do something aren't actually real. They're just not real. But we feel and believe them to be it. So the plan is important. This is Haley. This is some of her clients at an event. But what we do need to do is we need to have a very clean, simple plan, and the plan will change. The plan is actually the least important of all of these elements. We do need to be in action. And how we're in action is essentially remaining in integrity with that which we said we wanted, being brave enough to follow through on it, but actioning the plan, the important things. So sometimes that will mean getting leverage, getting support, and then following through. So I'm just going to share with you a DEXA scan. If you've never seen a DEXA scan, it's essentially a body scan that shows us our bone. As you can see here, this is Michelle. Michelle is an old client of Pure, and she actually went through a massive weight loss and physical transformation. When she started at Pure, she was 140 kilos. In this picture on the screen right now that you see before you, she is 73 kilos. So she is already almost half her body weight. Now, when this scan was taken, it was actually the beginning of maybe her 4th or 5th 10-week challenge. And our 10-week challenges at Pure, they're not, well, we actually haven't run one in a long time, to be honest, but when we used to run them, they were, several $1,000s to do. So they weren't super cheap, just, eating plans. They were actually customized meal plans that got edited along the way as your body composition changed and as your training shifted, etc. And the top end kind of package, might have been around $4,000, and it had personal training, and it had the actual program, and it had a customized meal plan. Of course, there were lower price points where people didn't have to have those things included. Now, I share the story with Michelle because she came to me just before this 10-week challenge, and she said, oh, I want to do another 10-week challenge, and I want to take the high-end package. And I remember thinking, because remember, she's 73 kilos right now, was 140. I'm like, holy moly, I didn't know that she could do much more. And I wanted to make sure, it's really important to me that if people invest, that they get, amazing value. And I said to her, what is it that you want to achieve? I didn't want her to be unrealistic. And she said, I just want to lose a few kilos. She said, it's not even about that. She said, to be honest, Marina, and what she said will stick with me forever, guys, because she said, I'm curious what would be the gift if I played at 100%. She said, in the past I followed just the baseline or I did some PT sessions, but she said, I never got the full plan. I never got the customized meal plan. I never really followed it 100%. She's like, and I've achieved great results, but I'm wondering what would happen if I did it 100%, if I played full out. And that just landed so solidly with me. And because she was realistic about the results and her focus was more like, what could she achieve? I was like, go for it. So she did this 10-week program. And I got to be honest, she's another example of like the power of change that's possible for me. And her results are phenomenal. So inside 10 weeks, this is exactly what occurred. This is her scan on the right. She is 13 kilos lighter on the right than she is on the left. But she's actually lost 14 kilos of body fat. That is unheard of in 10 weeks, especially given that she actually gained 1 kilo of muscle. 1 kilo of muscle. So she actually managed to put on 1 kilo of muscle while stripping from her frame 14 kilos of body fat in 10 weeks. Now, is she Wonder Woman? She achieved some super amazing results. She is not Wonder Woman, but what she did do is she got a plan from experts, and her superpower was that she actioned it. She followed it. She didn't deviate. I'm sure she wasn't perfect, but she was damn near close to it. And the results she achieved were phenomenal, phenomenal. So we do need to be in action. And the more aligned and committed to the actions that make the difference, the more transformative the results we achieve. It's very simple. If we were in a live environment right now, I'd have you stand up and I'd ask you very simply, in the last 48 hours, if we listed out every single task that you have achieved, whether you went to the toilet, brushed your teeth, took a phone call, scanned social media, watched TV, went to the gym, whatever it is that you did, if we added up and say there was 100 tasks in the last 48 hours, how many of those tasks would be things that would literally move you closer to the thing at the beginning of this session you said you wanted, or the vision that you visualized in your mind? How many of those tasks would actually allocate towards that? For many of us, we'd struggle to get 30 or 40%. Very few of us would be striking at 80% or higher of the daily tasks that we perform being things that will shift the needle. Now, I know that can seem like a really harsh thing to say, and some of us will be like, well, geez, Marina, gosh, I feel like I'm doing all right. Yes, and know that the reason we're not getting the results we want is because we're, as I said at the very top of this call, we are trading our lives for the things that don't get us where we want to go. Where we're allowing the vampiring, if you will, of our time. Social media is a big one, guys. We waste time there. And yes, it connects us. And yes, we can gain knowledge there. But let's be honest, most of us aren't doing it only for that. So when you analyze, and again, it can feel like some of us will be like, gosh, I'm only doing 20%. I want that to really land. And thank you, Kim, for saying that that's such a good point. But I want that to land. But actually, what I want you to do is, if you know that you're not doing a lot of the percentage, you're not playing 100%, you're not even paying 80%, then the good news is that's why you're not getting the results. It's really simple. And so the question I want you to sit with just for a second and really let it buoy you is, what if I started really actioning at 80%, 70%, even 10% more than you are right now? The results you would get would be transformative. But we need to start being aware of what we're doing. So let's proceed. This is, by the way, a picture of Michelle. Obviously, the two women, even though they're the same woman, are not the same woman. The way they think, the things they think are possible, completely different. Guys, physical transformation, I know we all love them. I love them. I love a good before and after of a house, a bathroom reno, any of it. Transformation is addictive to witness. And I just want to remind you that it is 1,000% possible. Whatever you visualized in your mind of that reality, whether it's wealth, relationships. I work with people every day to create positive change. And if you are in any capacity beginning to doubt that you have the ability to create change, please do not. Please know that it is possible. And we're going to talk about how right now. Because even though you may be missing a vision or a plan or an action, first of all, which of those are you missing? Are you lacking vision? Are you lacking a plan? Are you lacking being in action? Notice which one is the big one for you. And then kind of start to make a commitment. Okay, what could I do in each of those domains? But here's the big thing. They're all important to a degree. None of them will get you there until you start doing this. So this is what we're going to dive deep into. Okay, the next part of our talk is all about why we limit ourselves. Guys, I just want to check. I'm getting a little bit of a wheel on my screen. Can you hear me? Can you just give me a yes if you can still hear me and if things are flowing okay on your end? I will take a drink of water while I do that. Okay, I got a yes. Thank you, Jean. I'm going to proceed. All right, this stuff, I love this stuff, guys. Let's go. All right, the thing is that we do limit ourselves very simply because we are wired for a need for approval and acceptance of others and the belief that we're not good enough, that we're unlovable and unworthy. Now, I just want you to read that screen again. We are wired for the need and approval and acceptance of others and the belief that we're not good enough. I have sat with hundreds, one-on-one, personally, clients, and what I can tell you guys is even though you might think, no, I know that I'm good enough, I know I'm capable, I know I'm lovable, I like myself, I'm talking about subconscious, deep beneath all of it. When you dive under the patterns and the layers, everybody holds this hyper-stabilized belief of some form or another, and it literally drives our behavior. But let's dive deeper into why. We all came wired with this. If we look at our original programming, we have two basic organismic needs. Now, this is organismic, not orgasmic. That would be a much more exciting conversation, perhaps, but we're going to stick with the organismic needs, which basically means the needs of you as an animal. You have two needs that must be met, and the reason these needs need to be met is because as an animal, your primary desire is what? Can you guess? Survival. You are wired to ensure that you survive. That is the most important thing to you. Okay, my screen over here seems to be frozen, so I'm really hoping that you guys are still seeing my screen. I'm going to proceed, and if anything is coming up, if you guys can let me know. So hopefully we're seeing that we can have two basic organismic needs. The first one is the need to belong, and the second one is the need to be right. Belonging and the need to be right. These two, guys, are what drive us. And let me explain what that means, because it isn't, particularly the being right gets misunderstood. So these are needs that stem right back to early caveman days, thousands and thousands of years ago. Okay, I'm hoping that, yep, all good. Okay, thanks, Kim. Something's up with one of my screens, but I'm just going to assume that you guys are catching up. Okay, yeah, I just refreshed that screen, so hopefully it's all good. Okay, so caveman times, essentially what we're talking about is, imagine for a moment a tribe, a village. So in this tribe, there might be 40, 50 people, maybe 100 people. And a certain number of them have been trained by the older generations to know how to heal. They understand medicine. They understand which plants can heal you. And another part of the tribe has been, again, trained by the previous generations to know how to hunt, to know where to find the animals, to know which berries are safe to eat. Another part of the tribe knows how to build shelter. Another, parts of the tribe, they have the babies and there are wet nurses. And then there are people who, cook and who clean. And essentially this tribe operates as a well-oiled, high-functioning community. And then across the other side of this, time and era, there's like a solo lone wolf person, right? Doing it all themselves. They're trying to build their hut. They're trying to hunt. They're trying to, well, first of all, how are they going to procreate if they're by themselves? But my question is really simple. Based purely on survival, who is better off? The lone wolf solo, warrior by themselves, or anyone who is a part of this tribe? I mean, the answer is pretty obvious, so I'm not even going to pause and wait for a response. The answer is we are far safer and we are more likely to survive when we are in belonging with a tribe. That was true then, and it is still true now, except that it is not quite the way that we think it is. But we see this operate in the modern day all the time. Literally, we see it in high schools, cliques develop. Even if you watch people walk up and down the street, little teenagers outside of their school uniforms, they almost develop a uniform. They might both will both be wearing white singlets or white tops and, a similar skirt but a different style. It's almost like they've picked a uniform that says, I'm like you, we're the same. And they gather together. Birds of a feather flock together. We have sayings that support this. We see it. We seek out people that are like us so that we experience belonging, so we feel safe and protected. The other factor is this need to be right. Now, it isn't need to be right as in I'm righter than you, I'm smarter than you, I'm better than you. It's more as in need to be right, as in we need to know the outcome so that we can survive the unknown. Let me run this through in a caveman example. So say, for instance, back in the caveman days, you were told that the purple berries with the red dots are very healthy for you. They create longevity. They create healthy babies. They're safe to eat. That's the purple berries with the red spots. But the red berries with the purple leaves, they are fatal. You eat one of them and you will die. Now, in really simple terms, is it important that you are right about which berries to eat? And the answer is yes, of course. Because if you're wrong, what happens? Death. So guys, I want to be really clear. This need to be in belonging and this need to be right, they are essentially coded as equaling life, living, survival. And therefore, if we are not in belonging and we are not right about the outcome, if we are not certain, if we do not know, that is coded as death. To this day, that is still running. Those two things are literally limiting you every single day. Your commitment to be right and your commitment to be in belonging repeatedly limit you, all of us. Because our critter brain, the animal brain that we run, it is focused on your survival. It is not concerned about your soul's expansion. Sorry. So what we need to do is we need to also understand how this loops every single day and why we keep repeating ourselves and creating the same situations over and over again. So the thing that we most need to be right about is not the berries, but rather our beliefs about everything. So beliefs are essentially rules that we make up in our mind, or truths that we believe and we hold as true, right? Now, they're not actually true. They're just what we choose to hold as true. So for instance, let's just take a modern day example. Say, for instance, Barry is raised by an academic father and a musical mother. So people who are super into the arts and into the academia, and Barry's, been raised in that environment, and he goes across to Billy's house. And at Billy's house, they're soccer mad and they're all about the sport. And he goes into the backyard with Billy, and Billy says, oh, let's play a game of soccer. And Barry's like, okay. And of course, he runs at the ball and he takes a big kick, but he's never had a neural pathway connect from his brain to his foot. And so he misses the ball completely, falls on his bum. And everybody at Billy's house laughs at, what was the first guy's name? Bobby. Who knows? I've forgotten already. But the point is that they laugh at him because physical comedy is entertaining and it looked humorous. But in that moment, he's like, they're laughing at me. I'm not in belonging. This is unsafe. I suck at sport. Let me not do any sport ever again so I never get to experience this rejection from the tribe. Now, he takes that belief about himself, about sport and him, and he goes to school and he tries out for a sports team and say, in school, and you're in school and they're picking the team and like one person picks and the other person picks and one person picks and it goes back and forth. Maybe he gets picked 5th out of 10. And in his head, he's like, see, they know that I suck at sport. That's why they picked me nearly last. Now, what's interesting is that he has the belief, and look at that arrow goes across and he creates the experience in his mind. I got picked nearly last. And then it reaffirms the belief and grows it in strength. And he feels great because he's right about the thing he knows to be true about himself. Now, let's say that we had Billy, who was good at soccer, who thinks he's awesome at sport because, he's been trained and he's practiced. Let's say he's there at school and let's say he's behaviorally a little bit annoying. So he gets picked 6th. Let's say he gets picked 6th in the team just because, maybe the two people pick their best friends and then they pick the people they've got crushes on. And anyway, and then they pick him 6th. And in his head, he's like, oh my gosh, see, I got picked practically near the beginning because everybody knows I'm really good at sport. This is going to be awesome. So I want to be clear, there is no truth in either of these realities, except that the individual holds it as a belief and therefore filters the belief filters the experience through the perspective of the belief so as to affirm it. And we are doing this, guys, in the most magical ways. I can tell you it's utterly adorable and also unbelievable at times, the way that I will have clients who assure me that they are not good enough for their work, that they shouldn't have got the job they've gotten. And yet when we break it right down, everything that they're describing as evidence to support what they just said, literally through a different filter or through my perspective, which is obviously just more subjective, does not prove that at all. We are so good at limiting ourselves and choosing to be right about that which we believe to be true. Is this making sense? Yes or no? Can you guys give me a yes if you're with me still? Because we're about to dive deep on what adds fuel to this flame. Do we understand that we have this need to be right and in belonging? Can you give me yes, understand if you're with me? I'm going to refresh this page again because it's just not running activated for me. I'm not sure if my Wi-Fi is a little patchy. Yep, all good. Okay. I think that was a yes from Angela. Okay. All right. So moving on. What adds fuel to the flame of all of this? Well, fear. Yes. So guys, the thing is that fear is actually one of my favorite topics. I'm legit addicted to fear. Not addicted to fear. That's probably a bad phrase. I just so enjoy this because if you're aware of the love languages, what I would like the world to start realizing is that we have fear languages. We have fear driving our behavior, and we run it through the filter and make out that it's love that we're doing things for, but it's not. It's fear-based. And when we come from fear, when you come from anything, you can't help but return to the origin of it because that's where you were. So this is why we keep experiencing unfulfillment and hollowness and a lack experience, because we're not coming from abundance. We're not coming from love and all of the truth of what's actually there. We're coming from the void. When you come from the void, you're going to be in the void. So it's really valuable to understand fear, because then we can call it out and have the choice to choose to come from fear or to come from love. So I'm going to talk about universal fears. There's 2 of them. And then we're going to talk about the 3 paw prints of fear and help you get clear on which of yours is actually your strongest paw print and the thing that's probably driving the majority of your behavior and limiting you in the biggest way. So, whoopsie, I went backwards. That's not good. So, fear. 2 universal fears. We have the fear of failure and we have the fear of success. Ironic, I know, but doesn't this in and of itself illustrate how we are so committed to limiting ourselves? It's like, I don't want to try for fear of failing and I don't want to try for fear of succeeding. Let me keep myself stuck. Hilarious. We are so magically messed up. And we all are. So many of us do not start for fear of failing. True or not true? Who amongst us is brave enough to admit that, yeah, I'm terrified of sucking at something? But the thing is, guys, is that we can't succeed unless we're prepared to fail. Legitimately cannot succeed unless we're prepared to fail. Here is the equation for success. Success equals persistence plus failure. In fact, the most successful amongst us have failed the most. Failure is a critical ingredient. It is an essential element in success, because what it is actually the learning. So I always say, I love the story. I'd love the world to be like, if we could just change our relationship to this word, it would change everything. So if your kid came home from school and said to you, Mom, I had the best day. I just failed all over the place. My gosh, in maths today, I was failing so hard. It was amazing. And then I went out onto the field and, Sarah taught me some new skills. And oh my gosh, I was just failing and failing and failing. It was the best. Now sub that for the word learning, because it's the same thing, right? Mom, I had the best day. I learned so much. I learned so much in maths. I was just learning and learning and learning. And then Sally was teaching me how to kick and how to dribble or whatever it is, right? And I was just learning so many new things. It was the best. See how our relationship to our linguistics massively affects the experience. But those 2 statements are the same thing, because when we're failing, we are learning. And we can't ascend without the experience of failure. Case in point, learning to walk. So let's get real for a second. We all do this, I'm just going to take that off for a second. We all do this. So imagine a little baby, and babies are the cutest, and a little baby kind of totters up to its feet, and it's got those little chubby legs, and it's like, teetering on its legs, and it's holding on to the table, and it starts to let go, and mom and dad are like, come, 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 come. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Jimmy's going to walk. And then, Jimmy lets go of the table, and he's like got tiniest little shakiest legs, and he starts to take one step, and it's really like unsteady. And then he takes another step, and then he falls on his ass, right? And then what happens? Mom and dad and whoever's there, what do? They cheer. Oh my goodness! Jimmy took his first steps. It's amazing. Clap, 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 clap. True or not true? That is what we do when children fail. Because let's be honest, guys, Jimmy failed. Based on the measure of walking, was Jimmy successful? Nada. Nope. Jimmy sucked. Totally sucked. And so really, if we were going to treat Jimmy the way you treat yourself when you're learning something, then what we should do is we should actually say this to Jimmy. Jimmy stands up and starts to teeter and starts to take 1 or 2 steps, falls on his ass. Mom should come over real loud, real firm, and say, hey, listen here, buddy. We don't accept losers in this family. So until you can run, you just stay put. Don't even think about it. Now, I know I'm being a little dramatic, and that sounds a little harsh, but true or not true, that's actually how you treat yourself around stuff that you're learning. Why aren't I good at this? How come I don't understand this? I should know this. Oh my God, I was so terrible. I can't go back. I'm so embarrassed. Somewhere along the line in life, guys, we went from like being okay with learning, being okay with sucking, and then getting good, sucking, and getting good. And to a point where it's like, oh my gosh, no way. I can't try that because I don't know how to do it. Of course you don't know how to do it. You've never done it. Crazy, right? Like, honestly, is it not crazy that we expect to know how to do something we've never done? Yet with kids, when kids go, Mom, I don't know what to do. Well, of course you don't know what to do. We're going to teach you. Where in the path did we start saying we needed to know before we started? This is where we need to remember that failure is learning, and it is essential in ascending. This is why I love to surf and do yoga, because I suck at both of them, truthfully. I mean, actually, I'm not so bad at either in the scale of things, but relative to my ability to do other physical things, I like suck. And I love it because what I love about it, and see, I'm a little addicted to that, that kind of failure leap. I'm addicted to sucking and then not sucking. That's got me. So, and that's kind of why I'm good at change, why I'm able to teach change, because I got comfortable with the uncomfortable, right? And so now when I go to yoga and I'm like, oh, I can't do it. Oh, I can't do it. Oh, I'm really frustrated. Oh, I suck. I look at someone who's amazing. I'm like, oh, I wish I could, but I stick with it. And I sometimes honestly think I'll never be able to do that. But what I do know is that I also had that thought about previous poses and previous arm holds. And then one day, guess what? I could do it because I stayed in participation. I allowed myself to suck badly again and again and again. And I didn't make it mean anything about me. And then I grew and then I succeeded, right? So we really need to get clear, guys, that success comes from failure. It's super important in failure. I mean, I always share the story actually that Walt Disney got rejected by 103 banks before he was approved finance to start the Disney Corporation. Now, in fairness, the guy was asking for money to start a company about drawing a mouse. So I can kind of understand why he got rejected. But I just want this to land. If any man came home to his wife and said, babe, that's the 30th rejection. I don't know what to do. I feel like it would be pretty reasonable for her, even as a loving wife, to go, you know what, honey, you have done everything you can. Maybe it's just not meant to be. I think you've really given it all you've got. You're amazing. It's just not meant to be. But he didn't give up at 30. He didn't give up at 50, at 80. The man was committed to a vision. And just for a second, imagine if he'd quit. I know you think what you will of Walt Disney. Think of what you will of the movies. But our lives would not be the same if that one man hadn't stayed the course and remained committed to, despite failing and failing and failing and failing and failing, finally succeeding. Powerful thought, huh? Where would your life be if you suddenly came at failure like with joy, literally with joy? Guys, I've taught sales for a long time. And one of the biggest things is, handling rejection or failure when someone says no, 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 no. And one of the biggest reframes for that experience is that every no is closer to a yes. And it's like that meme. I'm sure you've all seen that meme where the guy's like digging, 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 and he's like, oh, I give up. And then literally in the picture, he's like this far away from all of the treasure. There is a fine line, and this is the distinction between flogging a dead horse, right? And actioning a course until you have developed and got the feedback and reached and attained the goal. And the distinction comes down to empowered choices, alignment with soul and source and your spirit and your sovereignty. That's the distinction. Because if we're chasing, the wrong goal or things that are not in alignment with our values, we just did this in the Unstuck program, and we do it with my Dreambuilders too. Once you're in alignment, you can't fail. You just have to, you can't fail as in you can't not achieve the outcome. You're always failing on the way to Success City. It's part of it. Fall off the horse, get back on. Fall off, get back on. It's all part of it. So what I want us to be aware of is that just like we learn to walk, we have to fail. And that failure is feedback. So imagine if when you were driving home tomorrow or to work or wherever you're going, your normal route, because we are creatures of habit, we all like to go the same way, or we have a couple ways, but we maybe have our favorite way. So say you were driving home from work tomorrow or from somewhere tomorrow, and there's a road closure and the road says detour, you got to go another way. Now, I want you to imagine, because it makes absolute sense, right, that you should turn off your car, put your head on the dash, start crying, call up the people at home and say to them, you love them and it was beautiful knowing them, but you're never ever going to get there now because the road's closed. And that, it's been good. It's been really, really good. I mean, the point is that's ridiculous. That's an absolutely crazy, stupid story to tell. And yet, guys, this is happening in so many domains of your life where you're getting a sign that is literally just saying, not this way, not today. And you're literally saying, oh, that's it. I'll never, ever have it. It's not meant for me. Oh, well. And you're turning away or putting your head on the dash and crying. But you're literally just receiving feedback. Take a different route. Learn something. Try a different thing. What worked here? What didn't work? Failure is feedback. Which was this one here. Failure is feedback. So ironically, guess what? We also have a fear of succeeding. Oh my goodness, we're so crazy. And this is actually a question I want you to sit with. If you're going to take a screenshot of anything, take a shot of this and really sit with it. If you were to achieve your goal or that dream reality or that higher vision of yourself that you said you wanted, what might you lose that you value now? When you gain clarity on the answer to that question, you will have a big piece of the pie as to why you have not yet created the change that you say that you seek. I just want to have this land a little more. So going back to like the you now and the future vision of you that you just desperately want to be, the thing that you want to have, the abundance, the relationships, the ease and health and vitality, right? So say you have something here that you really, really want. Let's just keep it simple and surface level for today. And it's not surface level. People want to feel healthy, but it's just one that lots of people can relate to. So say you want, and this is, I can give you a real example, a story of a client. So I used to coach inside a big fitness corporation, not mine, like a 24-hour one. And one of the heads there had me train their team in sales and train their team in, personal development. And then she also had me do some personal coaching for her, because she shared with me that she felt really inauthentic. She runs all these and owns all these clubs and runs this team, and she couldn't lose the weight she wanted to lose. She certainly wasn't heavily overweight, but she was frustrated with herself. Anyway, and so we talked about it, and she's like, and I know what to do, because she does. She's in the industry. She's not short on the knowledge. She's certainly not short on the access, right? And yet she's not achieving the results. So this is just to illustrate that you can never have what you say you want if you're not prepared to lose that which you value. So we kind of explored a little bit more, and I said, okay, well, let's talk about what you think this looks like. and what has to be here and what doesn't have to be here. So we're essentially establishing her subconscious rules or her subconscious beliefs. Anyway, to cut a long story short, the thing that really popped up as being big was that she believes that healthy people don't drink alcohol. Okay, and that's not really a big thing. Of course, it's not actually true. Lots of really healthy, super fit people drink alcohol, but her belief is that you have to give up alcohol to have this goal. And then that's fine, except, and it's not alcohol she values, but here's the thing, is that she's very social. She runs huge teams. She's kind of like, a leader. And then every time they have gatherings and she pulls all these people together, there's alcohol involved. And at these parties and at these gatherings, she's the life of the party. She experiences so much love, so much appreciation, so much witness of herself when she is drinking with other people, that actually what she then codes, another belief, that alcohol equals connection. Alcohol equals fun. Alcohol equals I am loved. Like all of this stuff down here, right? So what she actually is doing is she is seeing in her mind's eye, if I have this vision of me where I'm super lean and I'm super like, the fit embodiment of what I say I want, I'll like lose being the life of the party and people loving me. Something she values, connection, belonging. She's never going to have this until she does the inner work to pull up those beliefs, cut the cords, reseed the correct beliefs so that she can have a body she loves, the ability to drink or not drink, and experience connection, love, and community. Is this starting to make sense? I could go on and on and on with all the misfired beliefs that we have down there that are literally blocking you. Got nothing to do with your skill, nothing to do with your motivation, zero to do with your willpower, guys. This is the thing, I need more willpower. I need to have, a stronger mindset. It's kind of not about mindset. I hope you're starting to get that. It's not that your mind is broken, it's that your mind is a minefield of miswired, what's that, tripwires. It's tripping you up. It's stopping you from getting through. So we just need to unprogram the stuff that doesn't work for you and reprogram the stuff that does. Very simple. And not. I get it. All right, let's continue. Is this making sense? Give me a yes or a thumbs up if you are still with me, team. I hope that you're finding this valuable. So this is an important question to sit with. And doing it with a coach is obviously easier, but you can get to it yourself. So those are the fears that are universal for everyone. The fear of succeeding and the fear of failing. But then you have a unique fear that is specific to you. Okay, and this fear is what I like to call the paw print. So this is very, I suppose, unique stuff. And here's the question I want you to sit with. The question I want you to think about is, if you were to get to the end of a very long life, so you're not going to die from a shark attack or, snake bites. I'm not talking about those kind of fears. You're not going to die of a premature death. You're going to have a long life, and you're going to get to the end of your very long life. And I'll just fix my hair for you because it's looking a bit scraggly. So I want you to envision in your mind kind of like your funeral or the end of your days, right? Which, let's be honest, I don't know how you relate to death, but none of us get out of life alive, right? We're all going to come to the end. And what I want you to drop into is, what is the worst thing you can imagine to be true about your life at the end of days? So at the end of a long life, what's the worst thing? Just what pops up for you? If you feel brave enough, share it in the comments. But I can tell you, I've done this talk many, many times to many, many people, and there are only really a variation of 3 things that come up, and they relate to our 3, what I like to call paw print of fear. So the first thing that may come up, I'm just going to give a second to see if anyone wants to share anything in the comment box. But please answer that question for yourself. Don't go, oh, let's see what Marina says. Really go, okay, end of my life. What would be the worst thing that I can imagine is true about my life and about being at the end of it? What would be the worst thing that I could conceive of? So the 3 things that I often hear is people will say being alone. I do not want to be alone. That would be the worst thing, like dying without someone there who loves me. The second thing, someone will say, like not doing all the things, not having achieved what I was, sent here to do, my purpose, or not having tried all the things and done all the things and lived. Second thing. And the third thing that people will say is, well, it would be great to do all the things, but it's not the worst thing in the world. And I don't think I'll be alone, so I'm not really afraid of that. But I want lots of people to be at my funeral and lots of people to know that my life was valuable and people to really know me and have seen me and to have felt me and for them to have liked me and loved me and felt that I was valuable. Yes, thanks, Kim. Thank you for sharing. Okay, so those three fears essentially come down to what I call the paw print of fears. And this is stuff that, again, I had to move through and learn through. And now, as I've taught it to many people, it just continues to be proven universally true and true and true. So, see how this sits with you. So, the first fear is the fear of powerlessness. And this is the fear of not being the difference that makes the difference, is a great way to describe it. So the fear of powerlessness is that fear of not achieving your purpose, not achieving the outcome, not having used your time effectively to the most valuable impact. So people who run powerlessness tend to be very task orientated. They also tend to be phenomenal at getting shit done. They are the person who is like, I'll do my stuff and then I will do your stuff and your stuff and your stuff because I don't think you're going to do it quite right. And so powerlessness is about being in control. The worst thing, so remember fears, guys, these fears in particular are coded as unsurvivable. You will do anything to avoid the experience because you code the experience as unsurvivable, essentially death. So you're going to avoid it. The last thing someone who runs powerlessness wants to hear and experience is this: there is nothing you can do. That would be like the worst thing you could say to someone who runs powerlessness as their primary fear. That's like a stake to the heart. What do you mean? There must be something. I will find a way. There must be a way. There is something that can be fixed, solved. I'm going to figure it out. It's that kind of energy. And, they just will do all the things. Amazing at getting stuff done, but sometimes will railroad over people. They don't really care about your feelings. It's just got to be done. But as I said, the upside is unbelievably capable at achieving and ticking and carrying people. Second fear. So P for powerlessness. A is for abandonment. And this ties in with that fear of being alone. So for the people that are like, I just don't want to be alone, it's actually not aloneness that they fear. It is the fear of being left. So what is coded as unsurvivable for someone running abandonment is the experience of being left, which means that abandonment shows up in two ways. It's very unique like this. Abandonment will either be stage 5 Klingon, oh my gosh, don't leave me, I will find you, that kind of, wedding crasher character. And the experience is smooshing into people so tight, honoring your commitments to them. You will not leave a job. You will not leave your partner, even if the job and the partner don't serve you, because it's worse than being in something that's unfulfilling is separating. It's just too unbearable, so smoosh. And the other way that abandonment shows up is, well, I don't want to be left, so I just won't connect. And this can literally play out like people are like, oh, I can't find a partner. He had weird toes. She had like a funny eyelid. I'm being sarcastic. But the point is, it's like super picky. There's something really wrong about them. All this stuff runs. And it's not the people. It's the fear in this individual of actually connecting with someone they deeply love, because if they did, they could be left. So they will avoid connection. They'll be a hermit. They'll be socially distancing themselves so as to not actually be susceptible to what they fear most, which is being abandoned or left. So again, the upside to abandonment is people are very loyal. They are absolutely going to bend over backwards. They want to be with you. You will feel deep connection from them. But sometimes, these things, when we come from fear, it's like, well, I'll explain actually in a second. I'll just run through the rest of them. So abandonment is like, I don't want to be left. It's like not good. Don't want to feel it. I will do anything to avoid feeling it, which sometimes means, and this is the thing about fear, this is where I'm going in a second, but I said I wasn't and now I am, is in an attempt to avoid feeling it, we very often create it. So I don't want to be abandoned by you, so I will now do what you wanted, not what's actually in my highest good and will meet my needs. And in avoiding you abandoning me, I just abandon myself. Which is why when we come from fear, we recreate fear. Remember what I said, when you're in the void and you step from the void, you're still in the void. which is why we never feel really fulfilled, and we always kind of really clingy. Third fear is worthlessness. And now this is the fear of, I just want people to know as a good person and to value me and, to have seen me and loved me. And so I want to be really clear about worthlessness, because some of the titles are misleading. It doesn't mean that you believe that you are worthless, as in nothing. The fear, the thing that is coded as unsurvivable, is that your level of worth in your mind, as it is perceived by others, so your ranking by other people, the thing that you code as unsurvivable, as in I will do anything to avoid this experience, is that you would be valued as less by them. You do not want to drop in the estimation. So what we tend to see with people who run worthlessness is a huge tendency to people please, a huge tendency to kind of be a yes person. You'll bend over backwards to meet those needs and do that thing for that person and be yes, yes, yes. And ironically, what ends up happening is often you get really shitty when your worthlessness really blows out and it takes over and it grips you and you're really in the embodiment of this. You actually end up not delivering on the things that you said because you're paralyzed. You end up having a paralysis because of the fear. So even though you're like, yes, I'll do it, then you don't do it, then they actually do lower you in the estimation, right? Because you came from the fear of it. Or, for instance, people will be like, oh, I feel really unlovable. No one finds me beautiful, for instance. I may have had lots of clients that run this. And so they go out and then they like hook up with people and have casual sex with people because he found me attractive and now I feel really beautiful. But in the morning, the day after, right, what do they feel? Because they didn't value and hold their worth and they just kind of gave it away to get an instant kind of like positive aha from someone, they now feel worthless anyway. So anytime we come from a place of fear, we actually activate and re-experience that fear, which is why we don't want to be coming from fear anymore. But so the fears that we run is worthlessness, powerlessness, and so I want you to feel into which of these you experience to be true for you: powerlessness, abandonment, and worthlessness. If you can share that in the comment box, and as they come up, I will, share some more on them. But the key thing to kind of know here is that, of course, we run all three fears, all of us. No one wants to be completely powerless. No one wants to be abandoned, and no one wants to feel worthless. But you will have a primary one. And this comes back to my comment earlier about the 5 love languages. When you really understand how these work, it gives you an insight into how and why someone does what they do, and also why you do what you do. And so often we think that our actions are coming from a space of love. For instance, someone who's running abandonment might be like, well, I've got to go see Sally for her birthday on Thursday night, and I've got to see Peter for his anniversary, and I really want to drop in and support the opening of that for John, blah, blah, blah. And so they spread themselves so thin. But if they actually dropped into their own needs, they might have this knowing, oh my gosh, I'm so tired. I just want to stay home one night. I just want to watch TV and veg out. But they don't, because they don't want that friend to abandon them, to leave them. So in an effort to keep from experiencing abandonment, they abandon themselves, their own needs. And it runs for all of them, all of these, paw prints. In our attempt to not feel powerless, we end up taking on everything and we end up crushing ourselves under the weight of all of our desire to be in control. So guys, essentially our life and our experiences are a fusion of our need to be right and in belonging. They are a fusion of the beliefs that we want to be right about. And the question really is this, do your beliefs block your fullest expansion, or are they in benefit to you experiencing yourself as whole and complete? And the key thing is, not all beliefs need to be shifted, just the ones that are blocking us. Some beliefs can stay in place if they serve you. And then we also have our fears, our paw print, our powerlessness, our worthlessness, and our abandonment running over all of that. Plus, we've got our values and all of the other things that factor into this. But these key things drive so much of our behavior. I hope you can start to see that. And so what we want to start to do in understanding this is, without judgment, start to firstly be in observation and start to shift from sabotage to success. And mindset is the key, but it's not the full picture. It's kind of the key to the door, but behind the door lies everything else. Let me explain. So to share a little bit about my journey, I've been through rough times. There was a time in my life, about 8 years ago, where literally everything came crumbling down around me. I had lived the first part of my life, first of all, honoring what I thought I wanted or needed to be, and to receive love from my parents. My parents were very loving. I did not have an unhappy childhood. Um, my parents were supportive. I got told things like, if it's meant to be, it's up to me. That was kind of the lingo in our house. You can do anything, Marina. You're amazing. All of these things. I also got told that it's better to be smart than pretty, and that girls can do anything boys can do. All of those things. Now, when you fuse that all together and you run it through a really crazy filter, which we all do, what kind of came out the other end, and certainly through certain experiences that were traumatic inside of my family unit. I share more about this stuff inside of my face-to-face programs like Dreambuilder. I'm certainly not trying to withhold anything, but just for the purpose of time, I want you to know that it isn't always super traumatic life experiences like incest or abuse. And obviously, I work with people who, have suffered atrocities like that. But what I want you to know is, even if your life has been beautiful and you think you've been blessed, and you have, if you have had a good childhood, just as I did, we still come out as a byproduct running kind of disembobulated, off kilter beliefs. So I kind of essentially thought that I needed to do everything. I needed to be super capable. I needed to be like a man. In fact, kind of be a man without really being a man. And what that meant is that I ran powerlessness. I didn't let anyone support me. I became Wonder Woman, not because I egoically wanted to be better than anyone, but it was the pattern that I kept feeding. I'm sure you've heard that analogy of, there are two wolves and it's just which one are you feeding? And I was feeding the woman who thought she needed to behave like a man and who needed to be in control. I didn't feed any other parts of myself. And luckily, my soul is very loud and it has course corrected me many times. But in this journey of letting my powerlessness run rampant, in shutting down my femininity, in choosing a partner who couldn't recognize any of my feminine beauty but could completely celebrate my accomplishments and therefore fed it, he ran worthlessness. Our two powers or fears essentially, polarized us even further, and our polarity was all messed up. And yet we had this amazing relationship for 17 years, had two beautiful children, and achieved wonderful things, traveled the world, and built wonderful companies. And yet I was out of alignment with my wholeness. I was not sovereign. I was not soft. I did not know how to surrender. I did not know how to receive help. I was trapped inside this prison of perfection, trying to be something that I thought was approved of by the world. And then, I started to do the work, the inner work, and I used the mindset of my mind, and I then went deeper. And it sounds crazy, but my world fell apart so that it could fall back into place. And so I experienced like a great deal of suffering. And about 8 years ago, my marriage ended. There was affairs. There was black holes of debt. I nearly, went into bankruptcy. I had to fight to keep my company. I had to lose all the assets and wealth that I'd created to do that. I had to find a new life partner, best friend, and husband. Or I didn't have to find a new husband, but I lost my husband. I lost my best friend. I lost my co-parent. All in one fell swell. I can't even. I'm not even speaking properly right now. You guys know what I'm trying to say. And essentially, what I had to do is I had to kiss the fairy tale goodbye, because I bought it hook, line, and sinker, and I was trapped in it. And so, what got me through that? What helped me navigate that? For sure, was a really fit mindset, because for 15 years prior to that, I already done the work. I'd been reading, quote books and philosophy books since I was a teenager. And because I was a business owner, I'd gone to personal development programs, and I knew how to think positive, and I knew how to reframe, and I knew how to, action things. And I did that. And I got through the initial kind of fallout of a divorce and a bankruptcy that was like right on this precipice, because I had invested in myself. And I'm glad that I had, but here's what I want you to know is that even with the superpower brain, it was the superpower brain that had got me stuck in the first place, me thinking my way into how I had to be. And what I realized is that even though I could really from that place start to create a new way of being, and after I lost everything that I thought was important to me, I had to sit with, what do I choose to create from this? I could get to that place with my mindset. But that's as far as it got me, because what I realized is the mindset is just the tip of the iceberg. What sits beneath that is the deep systemic programming, is my spirit and my soul needing to communicate with me. It was my alignment. It was the accessing of my wholeness and my sovereignty that was waiting. Because even though I started to pull my life back together and move forward, I also punished myself for the mistakes I made. I wasn't capable to forgive myself. I was moving forward, but I was punishing myself for my children having to be in a broken family. I was punishing myself for not knowing better and not honoring other parts of myself. And in doing that, I punished myself and started developing an eating disorder, in my mid 30s, which completely threw me out of alignment. It made me feel even more fraudulent because I knew and understood good nutrition, and never up until that point had I ever abused my body like that. And so that was really the highlight that sort of said to me, Marina, what is going on? You've gotten through all this, and now you're diving deeper into a hole, because I was now sabotaging myself because I hadn't met my own expectations of what I thought my life should look like. And we do this all the time, guys. We are our own worst enemies. And this is where the mind wouldn't get me through. I needed something more. And so I realized that healing, this journey I went on, was about healing, really healing the wounds that were much deeper than just the surface level stuff. And I took a deep dive. I'm not going to lie, like in the 5 years after my divorce, I invested my time, my energy, my focus into how do we really create true change, not surface level change. How do we not just create success, but create fulfillment? How do we step into a place that no matter what is happening outside of us, we are okay, more than okay. We're blissed out. We love ourselves. We honor ourselves. We respect ourselves, and we communicate and be in that experience of love. So I dove deep. I'm not going to lie. I traveled the world. I attended courses. I learned. I saw the best coaches. I studied, oh my gosh, so many things. I undertook workshops and healing sessions. And I invested, and I realized that there is layers to healing. And the mind is the first part. It's the key. It's the access. We got to start there, because it does definitely kneecap us every day. And yet there is more to us than just our minds, so much more. And actually, when we start to live from other places and spaces, it's so much easier and so much more fulfilling. So that's what I did. And in doing that, I awakened parts of myself I didn't even know existed. I just awakened to a whole new way of being. And that's essentially what I've been helping people do now. And recently, last year, I started running, my coaches course, which trains coaches in all of the things that I was obviously accredited and skilled in myself. But also, when you go and learn so many things, you end up amalgamating and fusing essentially your own process and what worked for you and what you found have worked for clients. And so I've now trained a whole team of coaches who are accredited in human potential and holographics and family systems and, timeline and NLP and all of those things, but so much more than all of those things too, in breath work and energy work and in systemic healing. And did it cost me a lot of money? Yes, it did. I'm not going to lie. In about a 6-year period, 7 years even, this is how much I spent. I realized I added it up recently. I looked at the trainings. I looked at the investment of my time. I looked at the healing sessions, the workshops, the education, the coaching, and it was a huge investment. And I'm so, so grateful that I was in a position to be able to spend that. But I'm also grateful to the former me for doing it. Because particularly as someone who was a teacher in her field, I had a knee injury and I stumbled across Reformer Pilates, and in the end ended up being the first Reformer Pilates studio in all of Australia to do group Reformer. I ended up, super unhealthy in my 20s, living on sugar and not eating any fats. And well before there was I quit sugar and, gut biome resetting, I was doing that stuff and then teaching it. My whole career has been me basically going through a freaking messy situation, learning a shiz tons, and then bringing it to other people. I once had someone describe that, who was a shamanic person, as being a wounded healer, someone who must heal themselves first and then takes that message to the village to heal others. And I really can understand, and that resonates deeply with me. So again, I don't come to you as someone who had it all sorted. I had to move through, I had to learn, I had to expand, I had to witness and see parts of me that I didn't want to witness and see, so that I could step into a place where I was okay with all of it. So I'm certainly not suggesting you go and spend $187,000 over 6 years and do what I did. You don't need to. But was it worth it? Absolutely. I can tell you for sure that feeling your sovereignty, standing in it, um, and being okay with yourself, regardless of your circumstance in life, regardless of what's happening outside of yourself, that's priceless. It's invaluable. So, what I would say is definitely do invest in yourself in whatever way feels right for you. Do journey deeper because it is worth it. I want you to also know that you deserve to be stupidly happy, crazy happy. That you are worth the time, the money, and the effort. Nothing is actually more valuable or more deserved of it, because if we are all overflowing cups, then we can truly serve and support one another. From a place of emptiness and from a place of woundedness, we cannot come with our wholeness. So your self-sovereignty and your wholeness is a priceless experience. I just saw a spelling mistake on that page and I'm fine with it because I practice perfectly imperfect action. So, what I want us to be aware of is that there are some things that can help us. So, the first thing is really stepping into a space of gratitude for what is. We hear it all the time, attitude for gratitude, an attitude of gratitude. But what I'm saying is that we don't want to desire that future reality of ourselves and be in resistance to what is here now. Because if you are in resistance to what is here now, you're essentially hooking yourself, catching yourself, if you will, on a rock, because what we resist persists. Everything is quantum physics. Where we apply pressure, we get reciprocity. What we push into, we get pushback from. So this is why, putting energy into a vision is valuable. But if you're putting energy into a vision and then sort of really being angry at yourself for what's present, you can't leave where you are because there's energy here. So we need to be grateful for what is. And even if that means being grateful just with your body, that it literally puts up with the way you communicate with it and still is in service to you. Jeez, be deeply grateful for that, because some of us, we are so mean to our bodies and it does every single day act in service to us. Be grateful you have 10 fingers and toes if you do. Be grateful you have 2 working eyes. Start there. But I mean, really start to be in gratitude, because guys, there's a saying and it's so true. If we all threw our problems into a pile in the middle of the room, when you saw what was available, you would very quickly grab yours back. I know this, having sat and having the privilege and the honor to hear what other people have been through. I mean, it's not about what's better or worse, but just know that your problems, first of all, you're already comfortable with them. So work through them. And they're not nearly as big a problems as you think they are. So let's start with an attitude of gratitude. What can you be grateful for? Start your day with that. And then practice it throughout the day. Also, start to celebrate what is as opposed to compare it to what isn't there. So this is an abundance versus lack mentality. Social media is not helping us in the slightest at the moment. We are absolutely in a reality right now where every day we're getting on and we're comparing ourselves to people who have more followers, more likes, more money, more bloody pumping in their lips or whatever it is, right? And then we're like, oh, I'm not enough, which feeds that hyper-stabilized belief deep within us that we're not enough. And it kind of feels bad and it feels good because we get to be right about that stupid belief that we're not enough. It's like, oh, yeah, see, I'm still not enough. So we feel good about it because it feels right, but it's not true. Just like that belief about being bad at sport isn't true. It got run through that filter. So we recreate the experience. We're looking for evidence to support our not enoughness, our lack. So start to celebrate the ways in which you are enough. Literally be a crazy, hyperactive cheerleader for yourself. Like if you heard me surfing in the surf, I will kind of, catch a wave and I'll be peeing my pants with like nervousness, dropping into a wave. I'm actually like a complete scaredy cat on big waves. But if I catch a wave and then I totally balls it up and I get dumped and whatever it is, I come up and I'm like, okay, great job. Because I'm still alive, right? And I'm like, good. And I point out what I did well. And then I'll go, okay, and now this next time, try X and Y and Z. Does that make sense? So the same way that if you were actually coaching a young child or someone you truly wanted to support to expand into their growth or experience of themselves, you would offer them positive, constructive feedback and celebrate what worked. You wouldn't just be like, that sucked, give up. You'd be like, okay, this is what you're doing well. So in the days when you're like, oh my gosh, I've got so much on, and I'm just feeling like I'm failing at it all. Celebrate with the juggling act that you are actually phenomenal at. Celebrate the fact that you're actually prepared to spread yourself that thin. That's how the degree of love you have. And can we choose to do it in a more effective way? So we want to switch from comparison to celebration. Some gems, again, screenshot this because your words can help. You can literally coach yourself through situations. So what is this better than is a great question to ask yourself. So for instance, if someone does a 10-week challenge and they have the goal of losing 10 kilos, but they only lose 5 kilos, oh my gosh, such failure. Hilarious, right? Because what is losing 5 kilos better than? Well, the obvious answer, it's better than losing 4 kilos. It's better than losing no kilos. Guess what, guys? It's better than gaining weight. The next question, what's the upside? Well, the upside is I learned I can lose weight. I learned that actually those things that I started trying do work. I'm halfway to my goal. So what's the gift, the lesson, and the learning? I kind of listed them. This one, what's the gift, lesson, and learning? To be honest, that is the question I ask myself when shit gets real and stuff goes wrong. If I am constantly being gifted a learning, as I call it, or a lesson, I will sit with what is the gift, the lesson, and the learning? What does the universe want me to actually get? Because know this, guys, if you feel like you're banging your head against a brick wall, if you feel like the same stuff is happening, you keep getting speeding fines, you keep having a certain partner show up and end up being a twat and then leave you, or, you keep having a pattern run with money. Marianne Williamson, one of my absolute most favorite mentors on the planet, will say so beautifully. She says, the thing about these lessons, we call them, often challenges, but she will say that they are essentially miracles waiting, and that the universe will hold them in trust for you. I like how she says that. But my way of saying it is essentially, and we hear it all the time, you keep getting the lesson gifted to you as another opportunity to learn from it. And so the thing is that if you keep getting gifted a lesson and it keeps playing out the same way, take some advice from me right now and start doing something different. Because what you've been doing is not the learning that the lesson has been trying to teach you. Got it? You've kind of gone, yeah, I'm not ready for this lesson right now. Come back later. And it goes, okay, gotcha. And it comes back bigger, doesn't it? And it comes back stronger because it's like it really wants you to learn it. It's literally trying to give you a miracle to unfold into your magnificence, and you're not listening. So start listening. And a great way to do that is, what is the gift, the lesson, or the learning that I am meant to gain from this? How could I come at this differently? What could I learn here? It just shifts everything. True or not true? So we do need to break free of this perfection prison. I was trapped in it. I was too afraid to put a foot wrong, so I was controlling everything, and it damn near killed me. And I see it run for so many of my clients. It is something we need to break free of. And the biggest thing that shifted the game here for me, guys, and I say this a lot, you'll hear it all the time from me if we ever work together, is to be in imperfect action. In my business, it changed the game. I had so many things I hadn't put out into the world. They were 80, 90% done, but I was like, oh, I need to fix it. Oh, it's still not right. So it never went out. But the thing is that my 80%, my 90% was probably actually, and yours would be too, more than enough for the world. Because it's actually better to be out there servicing people and serving them than hidden away because it's not good enough by your measure, because again, you're just running that silly belief that you're not good enough. We do this even with our health. We're like, I don't have 45 minutes. I don't have an hour to go and do the best workout in the world. I don't have the energy to do the best workout in the world, so I won't do anything. Your perfection prison is stopping you from achieving greater wellness, because what if you actually said, you know what? I've only got 15 minutes. I'm just going to, right here in my pajamas, do 50 squats, 10 push-ups, 60 sit-ups, and I'm going to do that as many times as I can in 15 minutes, and then I'm going to go jump in the shower because that's all I got today. But I'm going to show up imperfectly. I cannot tell you, if you start to choose to be in imperfect action, how much it will change your life. Game changer right here. If you took nothing else away from tonight's presentation, but literally chose to be in imperfect action, you would change your life. Stop trying to be perfect. It is a false measure, and it is one of the greatest ways that we choose to keep ourselves experiencing ourselves as not good enough. So let it go. I want you to start challenging all of your beliefs, truly, every single one of them, even the ones that serve you. Constantly be in the practice of asking yourself, is that true? Is it true? Chances are it's not true. But if we get into the practice of asking it, and say your mind says, yes, it's true. I don't have the money to whatever, eat well. I don't have the money to eat well. Is that true? And then you're like, yes, it is true. And then say, well, is it true for everybody? Like, if everybody on the whole planet earned what I earned, do they also not have money to eat well? Is there anybody on the planet with the money I'm earning eating well? And then you might have to go, well, actually, there probably is. So it's not true for everyone. It's just true for me. That's interesting. So I want you to kind of try to pop some of the belief bubbles that you have formed, because the more we can pop them, the freer we get in the experience of ourselves and also the experience of others. Because is it true that they're always late? Is it true that they always take advantage of you? Letting go of absolute language is another big thing. Try not to use the word always, because no one is ever something all the time. They might be late a lot of the times. They might accidentally be on time every now and then. But if we can let go of absolute terms, we start to loosen the grip on these beliefs, because hard and fast beliefs actually don't serve anyone. And we see this in instances of war, right? People are willing to die for beliefs that they hold super strong. Okay, we also need to move from judgment to compassion. So we need to be kinder to ourselves. It actually, to be honest, is, in my experience, takes deep bravery to offer yourself compassion. Deep bravery. To say, I see that you're struggling, and I see that you're not okay with this part of yourself. I'm going to love you now more than ever. That takes so much bravery, because we're so used to judging. We're so used to holding stupidly high expectations, forcing ourselves to jump through hoops, forcing others to meet stupid expectations. And then when they fall short, coming down on them with our wants and our needs and our martyrdom and our victimhood, because we're all outside of ourselves looking for their approval, their acceptance, their love. None of us are inside of ourselves doing the inner work. But imagine if we all were. The world would change. That is the world I hope for. Super important, guys, is to remember that to another, I am another. So if you have a set of rules for you that doesn't apply to another, well, you're being hypocritical. Sometimes we do this to force ourselves to be the victim. Well, it's not fair because they do this and they do that. But if we reverse it, would it also be true? Chances are it wouldn't. Some of us actually witch on ourselves, which means we're like, well, I should really do this and I should have done that. But if I was to take that and say to you, well, is that true for someone else? Should they have done it? You'd be like, oh, no, it's okay that they don't do it. Or they don't have to do that. Again, hypocrisy. So when we are experiencing a set of beliefs that is true for them, but not for me, you need to go to work on both sides of that coin, because to another, I am another. If it is true for you, it should equally be true for them, and vice versa. So what we want to do is start embracing wrongness. We want to be wrong. We want to be wrong, because if we're right about everything that we think we need to be right about, that's the trap. We're being right that we can't. We're being right that we're not good enough. We're being right that they won't love us unless. But what if we were wrong about all of that? We also need to embrace the paradox, because no matter how thin you slice something, there are always two sides. You are brave, and you are a scaredy cat. You are vulnerable, and you are afraid, and you are compassionate, and sometimes you're judgmental. You're all of it. There is no part of you that is not it. So this is where, when we embrace our wholeness and we let go of judgment and we can compassionately be with all parts of ourselves, guess what? We got nothing to fear, because nothing is in the cupboard. There is no boogie monster anymore. You opened it and realized it wasn't there in the first place. But we do need to let go of the labels, and we need to allow ourselves the multifacetedness of that which we are. All of the things that you resist in others, you have in you. All of the things you adore and admire in others, you have in you. You just are not allowing yourself to experience them because of the rules, because of the beliefs, because of the fears. All of the stories, we're making it all up. So a massive part of my healing, particularly because I was running such a high degree of powerlessness as a fear, because I was so trapped in my perfection prison, because I was trying to be a man, I had to learn to surrender. I had to learn to unfold into self-love. And guys, it took, I'm not going to lie, it took work. I kept seeing the patterns come up. I was unable to receive compliments. I was unable to receive support. I would fend it off with everything in me until I gradually didn't. Until I started to actually not just allow it, but really welcome it. Change is possible. And this inner change affects all of the outside stuff. Layers, layers, layers. So, what level of integrity are you holding around your dreams? Ask yourself, like, really, we talked about it before. In the last 100 tasks you've completed, how many of them move the needle of you towards your dream reality, of you towards that higher version of you, of you towards that version of you that you're just like, far out, you're amazing, I love you, I see you, I adore you. I just want to worship you. How much of what you recently did helps you be more of that version of you? And if it's not a lot, yeah, we can be a little down about that. But also, we can kind of be excited because imagine if you started to hold a little bit more integrity. You started to do a few more things every day that supported you to be that version of you. Then we'd really see some change. It's not a mystery as to why we're not showing up in our higher selves if we're not holding any integrity around it. Make sense? I hope so. Hope you guys are still with me. So this is where I love the in-person stuff better, but I am, pushing my edge, doing a live, audio on without you guys hearing you. I just miss hearing you and seeing your facial expressions. Obviously, as a coach, I'm very much into reading body language and then going down a rabbit hole that presents itself in the room. So, I appreciate your comments, but even the delay is making that challenging for me. But I'm with it, and I'm still here, and I'm trying to be in service to you. So I hope this is valuable for you. So ask yourself now, guys, do you have a clear vision? Do you have a workable plan? And are you currently in action? Which of those is missing? But remember too, that it's not the full picture, because even though you may not have a vision, what if you did? Even though you may not have a plan, what if you were in action on a plan? All of those things would make huge differences, for sure. What if you were? What if you were? Be a big game changer, wouldn't it? If you had a plan, if you had a vision, if you were in action. But now imagine for a second, what if you released the handbrake? And by handbrake, I mean, what if you released the limiting beliefs that you were raised with? What if you released the conditioning that society has literally indoctrinated you into? What if you released the stories that you've been telling yourself about why you can have it, why you can't have it, who you need to be? Imagine if you just didn't have any of those things tying you back down, holding you back. That I promise you is the change, or the difference that makes the difference. Because the analogy I like to use is the hot air balloon. This is how change actually works. It's not about getting a plane to fly off the ground. It's not about momentum and power and force. No. It's about intention. It's about building the gas of intention. It's about having the desire to want to go somewhere, like you would if you decided to plan a hot air balloon trip. You'd plan, okay, we're going to go from here to there on this day. Then you'd get in the basket, which is the action. You need to show up. You need to step in. And we need the gas and the intention and the energy to build. But we just allow that to happen. But the key thing with this hot air balloon, the reason this analogy works better than any other, is because how do you actually start going? How do you actually take off from the ground? How do you actually get to where you want to go? Well, the key thing with the hot air balloon is you have to remove the weights that are holding you down, because without them, you will naturally go there. And I can tell you this for sure. And, throughout my Dreambuilder program, which is literally a program, an experiential 3 days, I'm going to tell you a little bit about it, actually, for anyone who's interested. When you remove the handbrakes, change happens effortlessly. You actually don't even notice it. A year on, you'll be like, oh my gosh, all the things I said I wanted, they're here. But it didn't take work, because you weren't trying to push shit uphill, excuse my expression. But guys, if it feels like you're trying to push shit uphill, you are probably, quite likely, trying to push metaphorical shit uphill. Instead of going with flow, instead of releasing the handbrake, instead of allowing that which you're meant to unfold into to just arrive for you. And you can just receive it. It's a very different experience, I promise you. Having done it both ways, this is far better. And a good question to ask yourself is, if you choose to keep doing the same thing, keep not listening to the lessons, keep being afraid to look at what's underneath, keep being in a state of fear, keep running your patterns, what is that costing you? Because don't fool yourself into thinking there's no, we often think that not taking an action or not stepping forward is kind of a safe place to be. It's not. Not choosing is choosing, right? If you choose to not work on your posture and stay in a slump, well, you're actually choosing bad posture. And there's a cost to that. Not choosing to, read a book or listen to a person or have a conversation, There's a cost to that. Now you've built a wall. Now there's an energy between you. There is a cost in our inaction. So please don't fool yourself. I want you to understand you really have a path ahead of you. It's a fork in a road. You can go right to the future you, that might take some work, that might take some letting go. Or you can go left and keep running the same patterns and continue to spiral through the same sabotage and continue to feed the fears to the point where it gets heavier and it gets harder. And you can do that for another 5, 10, 15, 20 years. That is not the easier option. Okay, so if nothing changes, nothing changes. That's what I'm trying to say. Either way, you get to choose. Don't think for a second, though, that not choosing to move in a new direction means that you stay where you are, because you don't. You continue to spiral down or up. The choice is yours. So we just need to become masters of change. It's really that simple. And the thing about change, guys, and I can share this from a really knowing space, is that our patterning and our programming is wide deep. So reading books and talking about it, it brings an awareness and an understanding, but it doesn't shift it. It just doesn't shift it. The answer, in my experience, is that we need to do experiential work. We need to do energetic shifts. We need to somatically change, not just the conscious understanding, but the subconscious, and even deeper than that, the systemic. I actually just completed, and again, another investment, about $10,000 to really get qualified as a facilitator of family systems. So much of what we run is just family work. It's stuff that we're honoring it to be in rapport with our family system. Letting go of that is different to just talking about it. Talking about it brings your awareness to it, but it doesn't shift it. So I really encourage you to start to play with experiential, so that you can get deeper into the layers, and the change is more effortless. The deeper we go in the layers, or the more richer we go into the expansive identity work, the more effortless the change. And so you guys have a choice. You can either move towards that higher version of yourself who is, waiting to be embodied, who wants you to step forward, or you can stay doing what you're doing or step back. And I don't judge you for your choices, because where you are right now, that's where you are right now. But what I also do know, guys, is you're on this call so you want to make change. You are ready in some capacity. I know some of you are so ready. Some of you are like, I am so ready to not continue to run the old pattern, to not do the things I've been doing. I'm so ready to learn new ways, to be in the embodiment of new ways. I know some of you are there. I feel you, I see you, I salute you, and I have been where you are. So for those of you, whether you're ready or not, I'm going to run down through Dreambuilder. And I'll tell you why I'm going to run down through it, because if you don't know about it, then you can't choose. It's really that simple. I am unattached as to whether or not this is the right thing for you. But what I do know is that this particular program, this 3-day experience and 3-month back-end program that I've created, I've been running it, guys, for 7 years. I actually use the tools of it to heal myself and rebuild my life. And it is constantly evolved over the 7 years to continue to embody all of the new learnings that I've undertaken as time has gone by. And what I do know for sure, having done the deep dive that I did, is that this program brings you a mix of modalities that is more powerful than anything I have ever seen. So Dreambuilder, just to be clear, is a 3-day transformative experience. It is live. We come together face to face. We do it for 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sundays. There are 3 dates up on the screen. The next date is running in Brisbane, June 14th to 16th. Then we've got September and October later in the year. They are long days. They are intense days. Inside of these 3 days, literally being in the room will change you. We will unhook and weed out your limiting beliefs. We will plant in beneficial blooming beliefs. We will have your cellular system be experientially step through the entire timeline towards that future vision of yourself, so that it is already embodied and experienced, so it literally can just unfold. We will cut ties and sever your desire to remain in rapport with your family system, systemic things. We will have you, even before the course, have clarity on your vision. And so we'll also teach you how to access a compass, an empowered choice compass, so that in an instant you can make decisions that are in your highest good, without that constant confusion and that constant thinking and that constant circling around and around in the minefield of your mind, which is where we get stuck. We need to get out of that and use far more powerful tools, which just literally aren't taught to us. I wasn't taught this stuff. And I had a really smart brain and I was using it to the best of my ability, and yet I still got caught. And so now I have better tools, and this is what I love to teach people. So in this 3 days, you will learn a lot. And now what we've also done is we've added in 3 months of what we call the embodiment phase. So you will then get, after the 3 days live, we go into an online capacity where you get guided through the actualization of your first year plan. We will bring into reality that vision which you held for yourself. So what do you get inside of the Dreambuilder program? You get the 3-day live experiential. Now, guys, I don't actually do one-on-one coaching anymore. I only do clients that I see annually, and they pay $20,000 to have me coach them personally. And that's actually not true. Sometimes for my ex-Dreambuilder graduates, I will do one-on-one coaching just because they've already been through programs and they already have a certain level of awareness. For the most part, if you wanted to coach one-on-one with me, and I actually do not have availability anywhere at the moment, it's a $20,000 investment, and we work on every area of your life, and I coach you, on an hour call every week, working on different facets. So 3 days live with me, hour to hour, is valuable, not because I'm amazing, but because I have taken the wisdom and the learnings of many, many other people and funneled it through my own life experience, applied it to hundreds of clients, so that at the back end, what you're getting is the distilled years and years and thousands of dollars of knowledge. Plus, you're getting me delivering it to you. So there's a lot of value in that. Then what you're also getting is this back-end 3-month embodiment training. So you have weekly calls, you get fortnightly Q&As with me, monthly coaching, and also a private accountability coach who's going to help you stay the course. So look, as far as value goes, it's priceless, because what is it worth to you to have the change that you want? That's the question you need to sit with. At the end of the day, it does cost money, but if at the moment money is an issue for you or a block for you, then I actually can't recommend more strongly that you do this program. I had to rewrite my relationship to money. I had to rewrite my guilt and my shame around it to allow abundance to flow to me. And you may be in that place too. There are many layers to the ways in which we block our magnificence. And so, the cost and the value, it's kind of hard to pinpoint, but this is an estimation, $16,000 just in purely time for the training and the coaching, etc. And for you guys though, because you're on the call, literally the cost of doing any of the Dreambuilder dates that I have put forward to you, including the 3-month embodiment program, is actually available to you for only $2,497. And I want to make it affordable because whilst this is unbelievably valuable, I recognize that if you have not yet done personal development work, then that might seem like a lot of money to you. Guys, I'll be really honest, it's not. It's a pittance for what you'll get, but I understand that your frame and my frame might be different. I'm the kind of person who, if I want to update my van, I have a gypsy van and it needs to be upholstered and covered and it costs $7,000. Cars aren't a high value for me. So I keep saying to myself, I don't really have the money for that, right? But then I might come across a course that's going to teach me a new skill that I know will be powerful to help my clients and my coaching clients and my business clients or whatever it is. And I'll happily drop $15,000, attend a 5-day course and get a couple of key distinctions. But that's because the thing that I know pays dividends above all other things is my investment in my mindset, in my access to my consciousness, because I am the thing that affects all things in my life. I can change my environment, I still go with me. I can change my relationships, I still go with me. It's not anything outside of you that needs fixing or changing. It's the relationship you currently have to yourself. Sorry, guys. Having a little coughing fit here. So feel into, even notice within yourself, now that we have a screen up that has price on it, what runs for you? Oh gosh, I can't invest that much in me. Oh gosh, it's not tangible. I don't know if I'd get any results. I promise you every area of your life will be changed. Please notice at the bottom of the screen, there's a money back guarantee. If you do Dreambuilder with me and you do not think it was worth this amount of money and more, I will happily give you all your money back. Don't want it, won't keep it, not concerned. The reality is, guys, My life is set up so that whether you attend this course or do not attend this course, my needs are met. But I want more people to experience this work because I want more people to live their light, magnify their more, and just illuminate the world with their magic. That's what I want. I'm very clear on my purpose. And so I'm looking for people who are committed to take the step and step into the change that will get them there. Do Dreambuilder and we will get you there. So as you can see, there is also a payment plan. Now, business coaches that coach me will say, Marina, don't do business plans. Set a price, and also they'll tell me to set the price, twice as high. Now, from a business model, that's all good and well. But sometimes we need to do what's right for the intention of the reason that we're doing it. I don't want money to be an issue for you. So if you need 10 payments, and guys, that's 20 weeks. That's almost half a year to pay off this program. I can't make it more affordable than that, but it does allow you to minimize, the barriers and the stories, and to start investing in yourself and creating this change. Now, hold on the call, because I have something truly magical to offer you. And I can promise you, I have actually never, even last Thursday night when I did this live, I did not offer this gift, but I have a gift for you. So if you're already in your soul, like, I want to do Dreambuilder, I do want to spend the 3 days with Marina and her team of coaches, I do want to spend the 3 months really embodying and creating this change. I want it. Don't even stress about the money. We'll come up with a plan for you. Does that make sense? We will find a way. Sometimes it's not can I, it's how can I. Got it? That's the distinction. You need to start standing for yourself, saying I'm in, and then we figure it out from there. That commitment literally changes the course and the energy around you and helps facilitate the change. But because you're on this call, I have a special gift, and it's this. Anyone on this call, I am going to give a one-on-one coaching session completely free. Now, this coaching session is actually what we call our initial activation and ascension session. And everybody that does Dreambuilder, I like to have done this one-on-one session with anyway. It normally costs $347, and it is worth every penny. Inside of it, what you will get is complete clarity on a future vision of yourself, clarity on what's required there, clarity on what we're shedding to get there, clarity on your hyper-stabilized belief. This is the core belief that is limiting you the greatest, who and where you got it from. And we'll also do dissolution work inside this session to release its power over your life. In addition to that, we're going to give you access to and awareness of this empowered choice filter and this inner core compass and how to start to access it. Plus, we'll be using it to check the integrity of the vision and ensure that what you are aligning your life with is in true alignment with you and not just what you perceive yourself to be wanting to achieve. Honestly, guys, this session is insane. It has taken me 7 years to cultivate this unique process, and I've now trained a team of coaches to facilitate it, which is why I'm actually able to offer it for free. Last week, I'll be really honest, transparent. If anyone is on the call and was in our live, I did not offer it for free, but I did offer it for free for those who decided to go into Dreambuilder after they did it. Long story short, it was a slightly different offer. Because we're not live, because some of you have never met me, because this is a different environment, I want to minimize your risk to at least experiencing transformational change. So I want to be really clear. What I'm offering you is a one-on-one coaching session with a qualified human potential coach in a very unique process that will have you get clear on your hyperstabilized belief and start to dissolve it. It'll get you clear and super clear on your vision, where you need to go, and also on a compass that will help you create change in an instant, way more powerfully. And you can have that for free with zero obligation, and I mean zero obligation. But what I do want you to do is commit to really showing up in that session and be ready to create change. Now, there is a link. I'm going to put it in the comment box here. And you can go and literally claim this coaching session now. It's like your first action is simply just to, and actually, if I'm correct, at the bottom of the page you guys are looking at, there's a link that says claim your session now. You can also click that link and it'll take you to the free coaching session. You just need to submit for it and we will call you up and arrange it. You do not have to do it in person. You do not need to do it live. It can be done via, Skype or Zoom. However, if you're in Brisbane or Sydney and you want to be with a coach, we can arrange that, and face-to-face is, preferable but not necessary. Now, here's the other thing. If you are sitting here and you're like, you know what, Marina, I'm ready. I've heard all of this and it sounds amazing. And I do want to do Dreambuilder. I want to know more about that. When you go to that page, and you claim your coaching session, there is a box that says Dreambuilder. Yes, maybe, no thank you. Doesn't matter what you select for that. If you want the coaching session, we're going to give it to you. But if you select yes, I'm a yes for Dreambuilder, then here's the final kind of little bonus that I'm going to offer you. So first of all, in a second, I do want you to go to that link so that you can start to create your dream life. But here's an extra gift and a bonus. If you're a hell yes to Dreambuilder, if you're like, you know what, I don't know how or whatever, I'm just going to sort the investment, I'm going to clear the schedule, I'm going to make it happen. If you feel pulled to work with me to deconstruct all of the stuff that is limiting you so you can truly begin to have the impact you're meant to have in the world and embody your wholeness, then when you go to that link, I want you to click yes to Dreambuilder, which means you're saying, yep, I'm going to come in June or I'm going to come in October or September. I'm definitely coming to Dreambuilder. If you click yes to Dreambuilder, I personally will conduct your coaching session. I won't give you to one of my team, and they're amazing guys. And really, I mean, this is kind of a bit of phooey because they are phenomenal. They are truly trained. But I'm kind of saying if you're a yes to Dreambuilder, I'm going to do your coaching session for you. So if you're ready, guys, everyone should head there anyway. I mean, literally, it is a gift that is, it's worth $347. That's what you would pay if you were booking in, off the street, so to speak. But it's actually limitless and priceless in its value to you because it will give you clarity and it will start you releasing that handbrake, letting go of the weight and moving forward. So it is my gift for your time tonight. I hope that regardless of whether you take up the coaching, you feel you got a fair exchange of value. But as I said, if you do want to do Dreambuilder, simply click yes, and then the team will actually book you in with me for your access and ascension coaching session. Okay. You can become a Dreambuilder. It's not so hard, and it is what I would most like to support you in doing. I thank you so much for your time. I applaud you for being with me. This is not a short, webinar or masterclass, whatever you want to call it. We did go deep. We didn't get to have the energy and the energetic shifts that we would have in the room. So if you stuck it out with me, thank you. I can't thank you enough. And my gift is that free coaching session. And if you want to join me in Dreambuilder, I'm just so excited, and I look forward to being with you in June and journeying with you in June or October or September. It doesn't matter which one you want to do. Find the dates that work, clear the schedule, make that commitment to yourself because, guys, you are worth it. And change is so completely possible. Huge change, transformative change. Your past does not dictate your potential, and it does not dictate your future. And you have the right to be different tomorrow than you were today or than you were yesterday. But you have to choose it and you have to commit to it. All right. I love you. If you have any questions, please pop them in the comment box. I will stick around. Otherwise, what you should be doing, guys, is going to that link right now and claiming your free session. Go and claim it. Just do that for yourself at the very least. And if there's a part of you that's a little afraid of Dreambuilder, but you're actually genuinely want to do it, just click yes. We can even have a call about it. If you're like a maybe, click maybe. And we can give you a call and answer your questions and feel out the concerns that you may have. Zero pressure, but you know what? I know that the right people always end up in that environment, and it is transformative, game-changing, transformative stuff. You are welcome, guys. Thank you for your thanks. I really do appreciate it. And like I said, I salute you for standing for yourself. You are amazing. Please do not forget that. Know your worth every single day. You are so valuable, and the world needs you in your wholeness. I love you. I see you. Any questions? I'm going to stick around. Otherwise, we are done. Over and out. Have a beautiful, beautiful night. And thank you once again for being here with me.